following is a special presentation of ESPN on ABC.
Kansas, America's heartland, where among the rolling hills and fields sits a field of dreams for race fans. The Kansas Speedway, built 8 years ago, now surrounded by stores, restaurants, and hotels that have sprung up in its wake. Fans have been pouring into the parking lot since before dawn today, enjoying beautiful early fall weather and their choice of tailgate delicacies. And now they're filing into the grandstands to see Race 3 in the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup. Two local favorites will get heavy support: Kansas native Clint Boyer, who so badly wants to win at his home track, and Carl Edwards from across the river in Missouri, who leads the championship starting the day. They'll have to fend off Kyle Busch, looking to find a way back into this chase after 2 awful weeks, and Greg Biffle, undefeated in the chase so far and looking for more in the Midwest.
Be the last man standing. Bred to win, they taught me losing's wrong. No, you can't pull me down, cause I'm just too strong. Waited way too long, so quitting ain't the plan. I got your world in my hands, I ain't playing with you, man.
With 2 races done, 11 drivers chase 1 man.
Greg Biffle will go back to back.
Who can be the last man standing?
ESPN welcomes you to NASCAR Countdown for Race 3 in the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup, 400 miles on the fast 1.5-mile Kansas Speedway in Kansas City, Kansas. Since its opening in 2001, this track's become perhaps the most unpredictable of the 10 hosting chase races. From photo finishes to fuel mileage, critical crashes to remarkable rallies, history says expect the unexpected today. Carl Edwards leads the championship standings starting this race, but barely. Carl is only 10 points ahead of Jimmie Johnson and Greg Biffle. That's as few as 2 finishing positions in this race. Kevin Harvick moved up 5 spots after last week's race. He's 101 points off the lead, taking the green here. Jeff Gordon, he's the only 2-time winner at this track, 8th in points, 118 from the top. And then there's Kyle Busch, who finds himself 210 points off the pace. Is that too much to make up in 8 races? A topic we'll explore in a little bit. But the star of the show so far in this championship has been Greg Biffle, who's won 2 straight races entering today. His win a week ago at Dover coming at the end of a stirring 3-way fight between teammates. That was one of the best races of the season.
Who's going to be the last Ford standing here at Dover, Delaware?
Oh, yeah, we got a 3-way battle for the lead here now. Jack Roush is feeling pretty good that he might go to victory lane today.
Little fusion of the fusions there.
Carl Edwards is going to give it everything he's got. Here we go,
Yeah,
man. Kansas takes the lead. You know, I thought it couldn't get any better than it did a while ago, but it just did.
I think that the 4 tires now are starting to overhaul Carl Edwards.
It ain't over. You're damn right it's not. You just keep racing, buddy. Follow him. Keep working if you got time.
Oh, wow, big touch. Biffle's got him now. He's got him. This is what he's looking for right here. That's the pass.
Biffle beats the monster and wins at Dover, Delaware.
That's the best driver, the best car, and the best pit crew won that race.
Third's no good, but that's the most fun you can have right there. That's a blast.
We all wanted to win. I guess I'm second happiest here.
And our ESPN pit studio overlooks the entrance to pit road off turn 4, where teams will be hard at work trying to help their driver to victory lane today. We welcome you inside. Alan Bestwick with Rusty Wallace, Brad Doherty, and the man whose cars swept the top 3 spots in that Dover race last Sunday, owner of Roush Fenway Racing, Jack Roush. So much goes into winning these races, and you're always looking ahead to the next one and next one. Were you able to enjoy that last week?
You know, we had a lot going on last week. I was probably the second busiest person, you know, that was involved with the deal. Greg Biffle had so much going on, I don't know if he's had time to even check his mail.
Yeah.
Jack, I'll tell you what, last week when Biffle won the race, your interview was really cool. You said, hey, it's gratifying now to see this engineering approach really starting to pay off with the help of Ford Motor Company, your internal staff. Hey, has this sport really turned into a total engineering-driven sport now?
Well, it really has, but, you know, Ford plays a big part in it, that's for sure. But, you know, a sponsor, partners that we've got like Valvoline and 3M, and, you know, they do an awful lot too. But it's there's so many things that wind up being required to make all these systems work right and to get the pit stops right, have the parts in the car so they don't break. You know, there's a lot of major companies out there behind it. Some of them are secrets, and I almost gave up one there. But there's a lot of major companies that you wouldn't think of that are behind the efforts for all these teams. And of course, those things are closely guarded. But there was a time, and Rusty remembers it well. Rusty won the championship. I started in '88 with Mark Martin, and of course you won your championship in '89.
Yep.
'89, and then we came back and finished second to Dale Earnhardt in '90. But you know, it has changed so much. Engineers and engineering principles directly applied from the textbook were not. I wouldn't say they weren't acceptable, but they certainly weren't celebrated. You know, in those early years, the engineer was he was a little bit of a court jester. You know, he would bring in some ideas that might be interesting, and if they were funny, you might try them, and if they weren't, you wouldn't. But today we're in a world where, and Rusty, as you and I were just talking about it, a driver, especially an experienced driver, has got a big-time problem picking a spring for a car because it's so many dimensioned. You know, there's so many different things you've got to be thinking about all at the same time. The spring is just part of it, and the engineers help.
Jack, you've been a cornerstone of this sport for a long time. Last week, you had 3 of your cars fighting it out for a win. You're back in the hunt for a championship. At this point in your career, how does that feel?
Well, it feels great. You know, I think about all the things that we've been able to win over a period of time. You know, road racing was really important to me for a long time. We raced for 14 years, won something like half the races we entered, and we went to Daytona for the 24 hours, won 10 times, and the 10th time we won, Paul Newman was there. He brought the sponsor from Paramount Pictures for his Nobody's Fool movie, and number 70 was a car number, and he was 70 years old. We lost him this past week, and so I remember, you know, not only the successes, but all the great people that I've had a chance to be involved with. As I look at 2008 and think about the prospect of being there with Matt or Greg or Carl, you know, I'd be very proud for that. Sorry that we missed the chase with Jamie and with David Reagan, but certainly Carl and Greg and Matt looks like they're going to make a great run at it. Matt will have trouble catching up based on where he is unless everybody else trips, which I hope does not happen.
Yeah, really. Can I get a quick thought from you on today's race? What scares you about this track for your drivers?
The expectation.
Yeah. You got to keep winning.
The expectation. You know, the fact that we're expected to be a factor and we didn't qualify as well as we might have. Practice went very well. Yeah. When it came down to the tires, a little bit of a challenge. You know, it drops off. They drop off a lot here, and that's a function of how hard the tire is and what the condition of the racetrack is. As the racetrack ages, in some ways, you know, some drivers like Rusty would say, well, the racing gets better because you have to slip and slide around, and you know, if you're off a little on your car, or if you make a wrong judgment, you'll pay a bigger price for it. But if you're right, you can really do a nice job with it. But you know, to be able to come back and to lunch off a qualifying position, it wasn't great, and to be able to work her way at the front and miss the wreck like Carl's going to have to is a big worry.
Congratulations on the great start to this championship and continued good luck.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate being here. Appreciate
Jack.
Jack.
And no, that's not our building shaking. That's a big helicopter landing behind us. We'll show you that in just a second. Let's talk to Jack's driver that's trying for 3 straight today, Jamie Littles with Greg Biffle.
Certainly on a hot streak. Not only has he won the first 2 chase races, he topped the charts at the Lowe's test this week. You were fastest in happy hour. Greg, for a team that hasn't won or didn't win for almost a year, what has been the biggest difference the last few weeks for you?
Well, I think just everything has come together. All of our hard work is starting to pay off. We were so close to winning in the regular season that, you know, we just never got there. And now that we're there, you know, it seems like all of our hard work is paying off. And we're learning a lot about this car. We were, like you said, we learned a lot at the Charlotte test. And here we came off the truck terrible. You know, one of the slowest cars we felt in race trim, and worked on it. Tomorrow afternoon, or yesterday afternoon in the final practice, finally got the car going good, and feel good about today's race.
A lot of people seem surprised by last week's finish, the way you guys were able to race with these cars. Being that this is the first time with the new car here, what kind of race are you expecting?
I think you're going to see exactly the same thing as you did last week. It's definitely going to be, you know, a head-to-head battle at the end. This track is very slick, very hot and slick, hard to get forward grip, hard to get the car to handle, and same with Dover at the end of the race. I think you're going to see the same thing here.
All right, Greg Biffle tied for second in the points standings, just 10 markers behind his teammate, Carl Edwards. Alan?
All right, Jamie, thanks. We've got a lot more people to interview and topics to discuss on NASCAR Countdown. Those who are going to make it happen are down on pit road. Shannon Spake.
Yeah, Alan, this very first pit stall and the pole position were the two things on the 48 team's mind when they started practice sessions this weekend. And although they qualified second, they were awarded the pole when Juan Pablo Montoya's qualifying effort was disallowed. So can Jimmie Johnson take this opportunity and turn it into a win? We'll talk to him coming up in Countdown. Mike Massaro?
Thanks, Shannon. You know, with sole position in the point lead, Carl Edwards is extremely confident. And that confidence is buoyed by the fact that he's challenged for wins at every type of racetrack, including mile-and-a-halves. The question is, how much of an indicator will Edwards' wins at Las Vegas and Texas be of how strong he could be today here in Kansas? We'll talk with Edwards coming up. Dave?
Mike, Kyle Busch is an 8-time winner in 2008, but he has been defeated twice in a row in the chase. We'll talk to Kyle about how he's going to race Kansas today. Our experts will weigh in on whether or not he's got a shot at the chase still going forward. Jamie Little?
Well, Dave, although it's been 63 races since Kevin Harvick visited Victory Lane, he leads the way when it comes to consistency. Now, coming up, I'm going to ask him about racing his favorite car here at Kansas and ask about the team's performance at these mile-and-a-half tracks. Alan?
All right, Jamie, thanks. Most of the cars you'll see on the track today came to the Speedway inside a trailer, but not all of them. That big racket a minute ago was the pace car coming in a little differently by air.
Oh, man, I tell you, the choppers that just came in. Look at that baby right there. Some serious horsepower. There's some power on the track. There's some power there. And look at what's coming out of the back of this thing, Brad.
Oh, man, old Ford hot rod rolling off that thing. Maybe they'll have us a little bit of lunch up in there, too. I was hoping they were bringing us lunch.
It's one way to beat the traffic.
Absolutely. Good ride out.
Up next, why the fastest qualifier won't start first, but will be at the back of the field. That story when NASCAR Countdown continues from Kansas City.
NASCAR Countdown on ABC. Brought to you by Pepsi. Wake up, people. Try Diet Pepsi Max. Maximum taste, maximum energy, 0 calories.
Today's starting lineup was determined through time trials on Friday. Mark Martin set the third fastest lap in the Army car. In fact, 3 of the 4 DEI cars started the first 3 rows today. Jimmie Johnson set second fastest time, but that speed turned out to be good enough to win his 3rd pole in 7 tries at this track. Johnson elevated to the number 1 qualifying position after the time of Juan Pablo Montoya was disallowed. His car failing post-qualifying tech inspection Friday after a problem was found with the car's rear shock absorbers. He will start 42nd today. With a little show and tell on what was wrong with the 42 car on Friday, let's go to our Chevy Cutaway car and bring in Tim Brewer. Tim?
Thanks, Alan. This is actually a shock absorber that we run on the rear of the Cup cars, but for illustration purposes, we're going to use this shock absorber right here. It's Lexan, so you can see the oil chamber. You can also see where we actually pressurize this chamber with nitrogen. And that NASCAR has a 75-pound rule on this particular chamber right here. But what they did, they exceeded the 75-pound rule right here. Because what we did in years past, we ran about 200 pounds of pressure in these things, really made them dangerous. But what that pressure does is actually when the shock absorber works, it foams this, cavitate if you will. And what the pressure does, it keeps the oil in a solid form and actually makes the shock absorber work better as far as getting traction for the rear of the car. But when you exceed this pressure, NASCAR threw them out because, in the words of John Darby, it wasn't a little over, it was way over.
All right, Tim, thanks. So that is why you do not see the 42 car on the front row today. We'll talk to Jimmie Johnson shortly. Let's hear from the other front row starter, Mark Martin, who yesterday, driving that 5 car in the NASCAR Nationwide Series race here, had a huge wreck. Dave Burns, is Mark Martin ready to go today?
He is, Alan. There's the foot right there, the left one. And Mark assures me that it's feeling just fine, and he doesn't need brakes here anyway, Mark. No, seriously, how are you?
I'm feeling good. Considering I'm ready to go racing, you know, feel pretty good about a race car, and Tony Gibson and the U.S. Army team's been on the money, and we feel pretty good about today. It's a little hard to judge. We're either, you know, at worst we're a top 15 car, but I think we're quite a bit better than that maybe, and it's going to be fun. I look forward to today.
And can you believe you qualified second again this year?
I think that's 6 times.
I know.
I can't figure it out. You know, I don't know whether to complain or be happy.
Happy with second place, Alan, but not a pole. It was close.
He'd be happier if he finished first at the end of the day today, that's for sure. Tracks like this one today are going to play a huge role in determining the champion, since 5 of the final 8 races are on 1.5-mile tracks like the Kansas Speedway. All 5 of those tracks are similar, yes, but they're all different in many ways. Rusty, let's talk about what makes this Kansas track a little different from some of those other mile-and-a-halfers.
Yeah, let's take a lap. Come on, Brad, get on board. Let's take a lap with me.
Let's ride.
All right, down in the front straightaway here, going into turn 1. Now, remember one thing. This track here is 1.5 miles in length. It is the flattest of all the 1.5 mile tracks at 15 degrees of banking. You can see they can still run on the bottom, the middle, and the top, though. That's what makes this track so cool.
Absolutely, and it gets the multiple grooves, Rusty. And like you say, it's flat, fast, and furious. You get back to that front stretch, you've got 10 degrees of banking on that front stretch, so it creates a lot of speed going into the corner.
Oh, here's my favorite corner. Now, exiting turn 4, you can build a lot of momentum, and as you can see, there's still 3 wide. Now, you'll see a lot during today's race, a lot of drafting, a lot of speed down this front straightaway, passing cars like you just saw right there. Martin Truex Jr. passed Greg Biffle.
Fast, flat, but fun for the drivers this Kansas Speedway today. Now, only true drivers in the championship have won on the 1.5 mile tracks this season. Carl Edwards won at Vegas and Texas. Kyle Busch won at Atlanta and Chicago. Remember, this is the first year the new style NASCAR race car has been used on the 1.5 miles. Edwards, the championship leader starting the day, is going to have to run very well on this track since he starts back in 34th spot, Mike.
And catching up with Carl right now, starting pretty deep in the field. What's your plan to get to the front?
Well, hopefully this Office Depot Fusion is as fast as it was in practice yesterday. If that's the case, it's going to be a blast, you know. If we can just stay out of the wrecks, you know, stay out of trouble, not run into anybody. You know, last week I saw a whole year flash before my eyes at Dover when Carpentier got sideways in front of me. So the mission is just to march to the front and hopefully be there at the end of the race.
With the way this chase has started, with Greg Biffle getting the first 2 wins, it's pretty clear that the road to the championship will go through your teammates. What's that like for you?
Well, it's tough, you know, because I was in the garage here right next to Greg, you know, during practice all day yesterday. And, you know, you look at him as a competitor for sure when he's running that well, but also as a teammate. So, you know, I think this early in the chase, we just have to work together as much as we can. And in the end, it'd be the perfect scenario to have, you know, him and I be the guys racing for it. But it's still too early to be too competitive with one another. We've got to help each other.
Not too early to say, though, Alan, that this guy may be a favorite today. After all, he has 1.5 mile victories already this year at Las Vegas and at Texas.
Not wanting to overstate the obvious, but there are dangers for Carl Edwards here today, starting at the back of the pack.
Oh, very dangerous. I would hate to start in the back being a chase contender. Anything can happen. Take a look at this right here.
Yeah, guys get extremely racy back there. They get 3 wide, sometimes 4, and when someone slips up in these flat-angled corners, it creates chaos. And if you're Carl Edwards, that can make for a long day.
Tony Stewart had been dominating the late stages of last year's Kansas race here. Was in the back for that restart, got swept up in the wreck, and did not win. Do these 1.5 mile tracks favor one driver, team, or make of car?
I would think it would favor the Roush team and the Fords. Carl Edwards has been phenomenal on the flat racetracks. Out of his 13 wins this year, he has 5 victories on 1.5 mile tracks. I'm sorry, his 13 victories in his career. He has 5 on flat tracks, 2 this season. And also Jeff Burton. Jeff Burton is a really good flat track driver. And out of his 6 victories, 5 of those came while he was at Roush. So I think it's the Roush race cars on these flat races.
I tell you, that's a pretty good point of view. I'm not going to disagree with anything you're saying, although Jimmie Johnson, out of his 37 victories, 12 of them happened on the 1.5 mile racetracks. So this cat flat knows how to get it down these 1.5 miles. And the past 2 years, he's done pretty good in those tracks. So.
Jimmie
Johnson's
Johnson
pretty strong, man. He's pretty strong.
Carl Edwards is not the only championship contender with a bad starting spot here. How about 7 of the 12 chasers taking the green from 24th on back on the grid today? Farthest back a driver's ever started here and won, by the way, 21st, Tony Stewart in 2006. We talk with more drivers. We set more stories as NASCAR Countdown continues from Kansas City. Everybody's got their favorites today. We'll see which one of them gets to celebrate at the end of the afternoon.
Go, Greg Biffle. 3 in a row. 3 in a row. Good boy!
The Monster Mile. They know it as a concrete cage that can crash cars and crush championship dreams.
This is really, really loose. I do the best you can.
Oh, we got trouble. right rear tire's gone on the 88 car.
Uh-oh, you see smoke coming out of this 18 car.
Blow it up, blow it up.
His championship hopes have basically evaporated. Also having issues, the 11 car, Denny Hamlin, been on and off pit road several times. Talk about peaking at the right time. Momentum coming their way here in the chase.
Enough of 4 tires, and we'll pass anybody that gets 2. You know what I mean?
We heard Carl Edwards say he wanted 4. He'd pass anybody that got 2. He ended up with 2 tires.
We'll see how this works. If it works like last time, we'll have no worries. Yeah, 10-4.
I think that the 4 tires now are starting to overhaul Carl Edwards.
Greg Biffle wins back-to-back in the 2008 chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup.
It was a thrilling finish at Dover last Sunday. Those 3 championship contenders slugging it out over the final 30 laps. That and the struggles of Kyle Busch and Denny Hamlin were the headlines, but the Richard Childress trio of Kevin Harvick, Jeff Burton, and Clint Bowyer all had top 10 finishes. For Harvick, his 6th place effort giving notice he's very much a championship threat.
He's a threat because when he gets on a roll, he's hard to beat.
Talk about peaking at the right time. Momentum coming their way here.
Kevin Harvick is the guy that's been kind of creeping up lately and just knocking down these great finishes.
Kevin's just not a guy that's going to make a mistake.
The guy that's been running good is Kevin Harvick.
They are potentially peaking at the right time. They have been running really well the last couple months.
Kevin lately has been kind of the dark horse guy that's been creeping in. He knows how to race for points. He's going to be tough.
Well, if anyone can win this championship on consistency alone, it's this man, Kevin Harvick. 8 top 10 finishes in a row. And I read this week, you said you felt like the championship was lost in 2006 on these style tracks, 1.5 miles. How would you rate your performance at this point in the season?
I think that's actually been one of our strongest points are the 1.5 racetracks. We've run really good on those. We've concentrated on trying to make those better since we started the new program with our Impala. So everything's been going good. The car's been fast this weekend. We've obviously missed it all year on the qualifying stuff and working on that to make it better. But the car's really fast and race trim, and hopefully our Shell Pennzoil Chevrolet is up front when it needs to be at the end.
Well, he brought his favorite car for the 3rd week in a row, but it's his teammate Jeff Burton who sits the best in the points, and that's 4th.
Jeff Burton's that guy that is so good at racing.
Jeff Burton in the 31 car always is a factor.
Jeff is just consistent. He's going to be in there every week, digging as hard as he can every lap.
He's the guy that has that experience level like Jeff Gordon or Tony Stewart.
He could be a factor before this thing's over.
He's been there, he's raced for him before, and understands what it's all about.
He's the one who I think could go get this done without winning a race. I mean, he could go run 3rd or 4th every week and win this championship. Nobody discounts Jeff Burton.
Well, the Richard Childress Racing drivers are 4, 5, and 6 in the point standings, but it's Jeff Burton that leads the way in 4th. You're starting 37th today. What are your concerns about starting in the back of the field?
That our car was slow enough to be back there. That's my biggest concern. Honestly, though, I think our car is really good for the day. I was extremely happy with it in race trim. We're just, I don't know, we just can't qualify very well. I've never been very good at it, but our team and our company in general is struggling with it. We're going to work on it and make it better, but I'm looking forward to today. I feel really good about my car, and you know, I hope it keeps getting hot. It seems like the hotter it is, the better we are. So I'm fairly optimistic.
All right, and Kansas Speedway is one of the 4 tracks that Richard Childress Racing has never won on in the Cup Series. Jeff Burton sounds optimistic about his chances here today. Alan?
Okay, and Shannon, thanks. So right now, Carl Edwards, Greg Biffle, and Jimmie Johnson have kind of separated themselves from that next 3 in points a little bit. Has this become a 3-man race for the championship, or are those other guys still in it?
Oh, it's not a 3-man race. No way. Those other cats are still in it, and I think the ones that are going to do really good are Richard Childress guys. Here's why. There's a couple tracks coming up, Alan and Brad, that are spoilers in my eyes.
Yep.
Martinsville, Talladega, it's not 1.5 mile racetracks. Those 2 racetracks there can really change things around. You think about Childress's cars, really good on the short tracks, and what about Kevin Harvick? He has one on the Speedway, the Daytona 500.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Those cars, the Burton, Harvick and Bowyer, they can absolutely play spoilers in this. Jeff Burton's consistency is scary. He doesn't make a lot of mistakes. He can win this championship. When you look at Kevin Harvick, he has won 3 of the majors in the sports. He's won the Brickyard 400, the Daytona 500, and he won the Oxford 250, which is a huge short track race. This cat has some gems, and he's a heck of a race car driver. Don't discount him.
All the people up in Maine are just going, yeah, Brad, all right. A couple news and notes right now. Things that have happened this week. Couple of years, there's a Hard Rock Hotel and Casino going to be part of the racetrack complex here. This track's owners winning approval to build the same, saying they plan to add a second Cup race weekend when that happens. We'll see. Victory Junction Gang Camp, founded by Kyle and Patty Petty to serve children with chronic medical conditions, is adding a second location here in Kansas City, Kansas. The site named this week just a few miles from the track. And the driver lineup for 09 continues to shuffle. Red Bull Racing saying A.J. Allmendinger's out as driver of its 84 car. It's expected Red Bull Formula One driver Scott Speed will take over that ride next year, perhaps, or sooner.
Allmendinger end up somewhere. He's just too good.
Yeah.
Still to come on NASCAR Countdown, Kyle Busch with troubles in each of the first 2 chase races. Is he out of it or not? That a little bit later on NASCAR Countdown. We will also talk to Jimmie Johnson, who will lead this field to the green flag in just a short while. And we'll hear from Jeff Gordon, who returned to a town in Kansas devastated by a recent storm that he and his sponsor are trying to help rebuild. It's NASCAR Countdown from Kansas.
I'm going to tell you what,
favorite place.
They have the biggest chickens I've ever seen in the country. It's unbelievable. Look at the size of that thing.
You're watching ESPN on ABC.
Next Sunday, the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup moves to Talladega. Big thundering drafts, the big wreck. The championship lead has changed in 3 of the 4 seasons the chase has been held at Talladega's race in the chase. See what happens next Sunday. NASCAR Sprint Cup Series, Talladega Amp Energy 500, ABC 1 Eastern Time, starting with NASCAR Countdown. Our Dale Jarrett sat down this week with Dale Earnhardt Jr. for an extended on-camera conversation. You will see that as part of NASCAR Countdown before the Talladega race next Sunday. As for today's race, Jr. starts 11th, Shannon.
Yeah, that's right. Dale Jr., one of the chasers who is pretty close to the front of this race for a start. Now, this is the first time that we have this new car here at this racetrack. What kind of racing do you think we're going to see here today?
I think you see guys all over the place, just like you did yesterday. It's a great racetrack for running side by side and running different grooves in the corners. So I think with this car especially, and the lack of grip that you have, we'll all be moving around quite a bit trying to find a good line.
Dale, you're well known for running that high line. How is that line going to work for here today?
It worked good yesterday in practice. The car's got to work first off. So if it's a little bit too loose up there, you can run on the bottom. It just depends on how the car's going to work today. It depends on where you're going to run.
And Dale Jr. looking for his first Kansas win and his first win in this year's chase.
All right, Shannon, thanks. As Junior goes off to get introduced, we look at Kyle Busch's 18 car, winner of 8 races this year and the championship leader starting the chase. But trouble in both of the first 2 chase races has left this year's fastest driver with a big unexpected deficit.
Wild Thing wins. Yes, Kyle Busch. Here he comes. Kyle Busch scores his what a season. Year of Kyle Busch sweeps his 7th win of the season. Kyle Busch right there.
Kyle Busch will come down and take the checkered flag, his 8th win in 2008.
9 out of 12 drivers, 70 to 80 points behind Kyle Busch.
10 races isn't anything different. All right, Brad on 3. 1, 2, 3. Brad!
Came in here on top, buddy. Let's go out on top. Let's work together all day long. Big picture.
That car is off the pace. You can see the car tilting noticeably to the right.
Yeah, wow, he's just out of control there. It looks like something's broke.
I think the sway bar just come unhooked. Wonderful.
He is being held a lap by NASCAR. Now he's lost another lap while they make repairs on the left front of the car.
Trouble off turn 2. It is Kyle Busch. He simply lost it. Spun to the inside. Another car is involved.
How many bad finishes can you have? Looks like this could be the one for him.
Run as long as we can there, bud.
Yeah, they got a real problem here that's not going to get better. It's just going to get worse.
There's oil in the cockpit. Yeah, we're just having to ride it out here. It'll blow up after this restart.
A lot of guys said coming into the chase that, okay, you can have one bad race maybe and still have a chance. 2 bad races, that's almost a kiss of death.
For For you Kyle Busch fans, you may want to look away. This could be the push for the 18 car in the garage area that takes him out of the chase for the Sprint Cup.
I guess they're trying to see what they can do to look at it to fix it, but at this point it doesn't matter.
His championship hopes have basically evaporated.
Dale Jarrett and Andy Petrie are upstairs in the broadcast booth getting ready to call today's race. Guys, 210 points down, 8 races to go. Is Kyle Busch out of this or not?
Well, what worries me more probably than the 210 points that he's behind is how this team has performed really in this chase. They have not performed well. They have to get that performance better if they're going to get there. They won 8 races early in the season with great performance, but they haven't shown that kind of form here in these last few races.
Yeah, great point, Andy. And Alan, if he already had that casino that you were talking about they were going to build, these odds would be pretty high to say that he could come back. But we have to understand, this is a race team that won 8 races in the first part of this season. They are very capable of getting on another streak and making things happen. But I'm not going to count anybody out until we're finished with Talladega next week.
That's a pretty smart call. Guys, thanks. We'll talk to you shortly. Rusty, Brad, what do you think? Is Kyle Busch out of it or not?
Oh, I don't think he's totally out of it. You know, I mean, if you tell a driver and a crew chief, Alan, that, hey, you're out of it, I mean, I'm going to get pretty mad. Although, on the other hand, I've never been real realistic either.
Reality is, yeah, Kyle Busch is out of it. We can say what we want. When you get to position 5 on up, there's too much consistency in those drivers as well as dominance in Greg Biffle, per se. So he's out of it. He's not going to be able to get back and win this championship. But they've got to rebound for morale's sake. They've had 2 weekends in a row where it's been mechanical issues and team issues. He has had a dominant year. That cannot be 8 fluky wins. They've got to get back in this thing to have some poise to go into next season.
Yeah, I just like the point that was made a second ago. Till you get through Talladega, you can't count anybody out, that's for sure. So how does Kyle Busch feel about today's race? Dave Burns is going to ask.
At one point in the season, starting at April in Talladega, Kyle won 6 of 11 races, Kyle, so we know any comeback starts with a win. How close is your team today here at Kansas?
Well, the car got driving better at the end of practice yesterday, so we'll see what the M&M's Toyota has in store for it, but we got a long ways to go, so we'll try to trout up through there and get it going.
You had some laps on this track yesterday before an accident. How's the new tire working, and have you guys figured that out on your Cup car?
Well, it seems to be fine. Everything's good with that, but you just kind of have to bide your time a little bit if you're going to run the bottom, but you can go to the top. But I feel like a lot of guys are going to go up there, so you know, air down at the bottom might be pivotal.
All right. The race back begins right here, Alan.
David, thank you. Kyle Busch starting 27th today. A moment here to acknowledge the passing of Paul Newman, who died Friday after a fight with cancer. Newman was a 4-time SCCA national champion as a driver, 8-time champion team owner in Champ Car and IndyCar racing, and memorable to me, and Jack Roush discussed it earlier, a class-winning driver in 1995 at age 70 of the Daytona 24-hour sports car race. Beyond his amazing Hollywood legacy and his legendary charitable efforts, we remember Paul Newman, a racer through and through. He was 83 years old. Tomorrow night, 2 AFC North Division rivals battle between the lines at Heinz Field as Ray Lewis and the Ravens try to slow down Ben Roethlisberger and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Monday Night Football, ESPN at 8:30 Eastern. Coverage starting at 7 Eastern with Monday Night Countdown delivered by UPS. Little football tossing going on here by some of the pit crews before we start. Denny Hamlin won yesterday's NASCAR Nationwide Series race here. Shannon, can he make it a weekend sweep?
Well, Denny Hamlin looking to make a sweep of the weekend here at Kansas Speedway, winning the nationwide race last night. You're starting 30th today. Just make a prediction for me, Denny. What lap will it be when you make it into the top 10 here?
You're awful optimistic. I am too, but I don't know. We should be there by lap 100, 125.
All right, did you learn anything from last night's race that you can use here today?
We definitely learned a few things with the line. You know, not much with the race car, a little bit with adjustments. So, I mean, you really can't take a whole lot from yesterday's race, but it does give you a little extra confidence for sure.
Denny Hamlin looking to be the man here at Kansas Speedway. Jamie?
Well, when the chase began, Matt Kenseth was seated 12th and didn't feel like he had much of a chance, but after last weekend's epic race of the year so far, Matt, how are you feeling about your chances?
Well, it was a great race. It felt really good how competitive we were last week, most of the Roush Fenway cars, and we seem to be running pretty well this weekend too. So really we just got to take it one race at a time. As good as we did last week, we only gained 10 points in the lead or something. So we're really in a situation where we just need to run as hard as we can run every week, try to get the best finish we can, and hope for the best.
Well, he's led laps here, sat on the pole. He was fast in practice, but this is one of his worst tracks. He averages 22nd, but today he rolls off third. Maybe that'll help. Alan?
Okay, Jamie, thanks. Jimmie Johnson's race at California Labor Day weekend. Is it a sign of what we might see today here on that fast 2-mile track with about the same degree of banking as this one? Johnson led 228 of 250 laps in a dominating win, yet another of the many victories for one of racing's most successful driver-crew chief pairings.
Back way down, 2 seconds a lap. Give me 2 seconds. Changes you've been making all day have been pretty good.
The communication process between the driver and the crew chief has to be one without barriers. You've got to be able to discuss what's going on with the race car, what's going on with the team, what's going on in your personal lives openly.
At times, probably too hard on me, probably too hard on the guys, too hard on himself. I know I've got to have a thick skin with him. He's going to say stuff that's going to make me mad.
24 flat, that's not very good, but the other one was.
I think if he wasn't as even keel as he is, we wouldn't be near as successful.
That was awesome. Great job, everybody. Great job. Hell of a job. Good job, guys.
If I was paired with one of the Busch brothers or Tony Stewart or somebody like that that's very animated, very excitable, I think that would be bad.
He's a pain in the butt. He is absolutely a pain in the butt.
I am a pain in the ass. There's no doubt about it.
We have a great friendship and a great working relationship, but I swear at times he needs more attention than my wife does.
Communication is important, but so is experience, and Jimmie Johnson has been in every chase. That said, what do you know now that you wish you knew back in 2004 that may actually help you win this championship again?
I'd say the fact how myself and my team, how we better understand ourselves and the pressures that come with the chase. It's tough, especially to get down to those last 3 or 4 races and you're in contention. Your brain will do some crazy things to you. So I think my experience over the last few years will help me in that. And looking back on 04, losing by 8 points, just a couple spots on track, I could have used that help then and made some better decisions.
Mile-and-a-half racing. This is the first of 5 in the chase. How will this race serve as maybe an indicator of who the teams are you'll need to beat to win this title?
The picture's becoming more clear each weekend. Right now there's a little gap from 3rd to 4th. It's not a big gap and certainly not comfortable yet, but things will become more clear on what we need to do, and right now it looks like we're chasing the 16 and the 99.
And he's got a good car to do it with, Alan. This is his California car, a car he finished 2nd and won with out at Auto Club Speedway.
All right, Michael, thank you. So about those California-Kansas comparisons, how much should we read into what Jimmie Johnson did out west as an indicator of what he might do today?
Alan, I think you're going to read a lot into it, and here's why. The racetrack out in California is fairly flat. It's got a little banking to it, but it's really slick. Real slick racetrack out there in California. Kansas City the same way. It is the least amount of banking of all the mile-and-a-halves at only 15 degrees. So if you look at the way this track's shaped, and look at the way California's shaped, Brad, I think this is one of the closest indicators. I really do.
I agree with that. I think the mindset of this race team, especially between Jimmie Johnson and Chad Canals, is a lot different than everyone else. They show a distinct mental toughness. And I'll harken back a few weeks ago to Bristol. They came into Bristol, Tennessee, and they said, we are going to struggle here. We're just not very good here. They finished 33rd. After that, they go first, second, fifth, and led 437 laps. You're laughing at my word.
I am, yeah.
437 laps into this point. That shows mental toughness, and these guys have these other cats beat right here.
Where'd you get all those numbers at?
Rusty, let me get
pretty
you.
Good, man.
Go,
pretty good.
Let me get you to harken back to your driver-crew chief relationships in the past. The best one that you had, what was it that made it better than the others?
We all got along so well. Number one, we got along real well. And every time I would say the car was doing something, they wouldn't question me. They believed what I did. And off the racetrack, these cats would take a bullet for me. They really would. Yeah. I've had some of the best ones, whether it's Barry Dotson and whether it's Larry Carter, or you're talking about Buddy Perry. Now, that was a character.
Yeah.
That guy had a personality that was fun to hang around with. But all those type of things, the crew chief's got to believe in that driver. And that's what happens with Chad.
Jimmie Johnson's attempting to win a 3rd straight championship makes me harken back to Cale Yarborough's winning 3 straight in 1976, 7, and 8. Comparing that 3rd year, Cale's with Jimmie's to this point. Now that's full season Cale, Jimmie to this point. Average finish, competition a little bit different these days, but still anytime you can compare favorably to the great Cale Yarborough, you've done good.
Absolutely.
More NASCAR Countdown from Kansas City in a minute. The first two NASCAR Sprint Cup Series races at Kansas Speedway were both won by Jeff Gordon. 2001, Gordon started second, led 53 laps, took the checkered flag in the inaugural. A year later, Jeff started 10th, led 116 laps, more than half the race, and is now the only two-time winner at this track. You may remember last May when the town of Greensburg, Kansas was just devastated, leveled by a tornado. Jeff Gordon and his sponsor DuPont got involved in the rebuilding effort. Gordon made his second visit to the Greensburg community this past Thursday.
A lot has happened since the last time we were here.
Greensburg State Bank is
I don't remember the bank being there the last time we were here. Every home, every building here was pretty much just leveled, so it took almost a year just to clean that up. And then when we came is when really a lot of the building process of the homes was really taken off. So I see where some construction started over here. DuPont's going to be doing a lot more here, and I want to be a part of it in any way that I can as well. Hello. Now the last time I saw you, you had nothing. Now you have a doorbell. How are you? It's really, to me, looking like huge progress has been made here. Communities coming together, smiles on people's faces. Oh, thank you. Oh, I get hugs all the way around. These are your tickets for the race this weekend. We got you in DuPont hospitality. You guys are gonna have a great time. Yeah, you're welcome. It's been a long road, and to start to see that progress really being made right now is amazing.
Well, and as you put things in perspective, what those people went through is a lot tougher than what Jeff's going through this weekend, but you have been battling some health issues. How are you feeling right now?
I've been better. I can tell you, it's been a rough weekend. This DuPont Chevrolet team's done an excellent job because I really have not been close to 100%, and I feel like the car's actually pretty good. So I think that's about the only thing that's getting me motivated through getting this thing all the way to the finish, and hopefully with a good finish. Not to mention we're in the chase, so you gotta fight through the tough times, and this is definitely going to be one of our toughest races, if not one of mine I've ever had. I can't remember it feeling this bad at the start of a race ever.
You have Brett Keselowski, a future Hendrick Motorsports driver, standing by. How long do you think you'll stay in the car, Jeff?
Oh, I'm going to stay in there as long as I can. I hope I'm in there all day. I have no plans to get out. We just have Brad for standby. We'll just see what happens.
Okay, the champion fighting through this, Alan.
All right, David, we'll keep an eye on Jeff Gordon's progress through the day. There may be no driver here who would appreciate winning this race more than Clint Boyer. He's from Emporia, Kansas, 107 miles from this track. His family, friends, and racing roots are all so closely tied to this area.
I grew up racing motocross, started when I was 4 years old. People that I looked up to, it was Jeff Ward and Rick Johnson on motocross. I wanted to be a motocross racer. They'd, go handlebar to handlebar the whole race and put on a show for the fans. I think the competitive aspect of it, always wanting to be the best, wanting to be the best, was something that's, inside a racer, and he can't get it out of him.
And it's definitely a homecoming weekend for Clint Boyer. How bad do you want to win here, and how far are you willing to go to get to victory lane?
Really bad. I mean, this is the place I want to win at more than anything. But, we got to keep an eye on the ball here. We're racing for a championship, racing for 2 championships. And a good run here goes a long ways in that chase hunt. But this is just a special track. It means a lot to me growing up, dreaming of racing here. And to be able to pull on this racetrack and race with this kind of competition, it really does mean a lot.
And to get to victory lane, he has some work to do. He rolls off 24th, Shannon.
Down here with Tony Stewart starting 41st today. Tony, you've had such great success here at this racetrack, but I got to ask you, I know there are a lot of chasers who are starting in the back of the field. Do you think we'll see some pit road strategy pretty soon in this race?
Well, I don't know if the tires are going to let you do that. I mean, the good thing is the tires fall off, and I think you're going to see a lot of guys around lap 15 that all of a sudden their balances are going to change and their cars are going to change. So I don't think we're going to stay there. I don't think we'll be there very long. We got a really good race car.
And Tony Stewart knows how to make it to the front here at Kansas Speedway. Alan?
Okay, Shannon, thanks. Past performance not necessarily an indicator of future results, but here are the championship contenders with the best average finish records at Kansas. Clint Boyer, okay, he's got the best. He's only got 2 starts.
Well, Tony Stewart's been pretty good here.
Yeah.
Hey, what, you got to start somewhere. I like who Clint starts.
Yeah, top five.
Up front there.
Yeah, that's good stuff. All right, so what are we watching for today? What should we be looking for in these 400 miles?
Oh, number one in my book, don't speed on pit road, man. I have done that before. I remember the first race here in 2001. I led the most laps, thought I had this baby won. Come down pit road, oh, stupid me. Sped on pit road, lost the race for my team. Couldn't believe it.
Well, as we whittle this thing down each weekend, the thing that starts to become more evident to me is that we're not talking about Jeff Gordon or Dale Earnhardt Jr. as being contenders. Will that change today? It's going to be interesting to see.
Hey, Brad, one thing I've been noticing, too, guys, in practice, down the front straightaway, I've been seeing a lot of drafting, a lot of people picking up speed down that front straightaway, more than other racetracks I've seen. So take a look at a lot of passing around the start-finish line and down into turn one today.
Drivers we're watching for today. Who you got?
Well, I got to give Carl Edwards a shout out. I know he's way back in the bushes. He's back in the weeds, man, but I think through good pit stops and smart strategies, he can get that car up towards the front. I'm looking at Carl Edwards and old Matt Kenseth. He's going to run up front all day long.
Now, wait a minute, big guy. You can't leave out the cat that's got the most momentum. That's Greg Biffle. He won this race last time, and he's won the last two in a row. This cat's cooking right now, Alan.
But the odds of winning 3 in a row, that's long.
Well, I hate numbers. You know that.
Let's just do it.
You're not realistic anyway, you said before. Yeah. All right, back with more from Kansas after this message and a word from our ABC stations.
When you get on a roll, no matter what you do, you can't do any wrong.
Momentum certainly works good for the team which has it and can work against the team which doesn't have it.
If you've been losing week after week, it's hard to get out of that and get back into winning.
You got all the planets lined up, then you're okay. If you haven't got them lined up, it's not going to work anyway.
Blow it up! Blow it up!
Momentum is a big thing, even in my day.
When the chips are down, people are able to dig down just a little bit deeper and get something that maybe they didn't even know that they had.
It ain't over. You're damn right it's not. You just keep racing, buddy.
Well, Greg Biffle certainly has the momentum after winning the opening 2 races in the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup. Can he ride that momentum to a 3rd straight victory today? Or will someone else roll into victory lane after 400 miles at the Kansas Speedway? A little number staying for the 12 drivers in this year's championship. 7 of them had bad races here at Kansas last year. 7 of them finished 29th or worst. Greg Biffle and Clint Boyer finished 1st and 2nd. Let's go trackside for the opening ceremony.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise and remove your hat as the 11th Battalion, 95th Regiment out of Independence, Missouri presents our nation's colors. Please remain standing as Cole Cochran of Kansas City Raceway Ministries offers today's invocation.
Father God, thanks for today. As we watch this chase race, help us to know we don't have to chase after you, because in love you have already come for us. May all here today, drivers, crews, workers, fans, arrive safely at the races, the days, and life's finish line. In Jesus' name I pray, amen.
You may recognize him from his lead role as Seaweed J. Stubbs in the New Line musical Hairspray, and most recently in ABC's Dirty Sexy Money. He is currently writing and recording his debut album. Please welcome actor, recording artist, and entertainer Elijah Kelly.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we held at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
And the flyover as the pre-race ceremonies conclude here at Kansas Speedway. It is a magnificent day. The grandstands are jammed full, and now they'll begin clearing that busy grid. The drivers will buckle aboard, and the engines fire when we return to Kansas City in a minute.
ESPN's coverage of the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series on ABC. Brought to you by Vault. Drinks like a soda, kicks like an energy drink. Vault, get to it. And DirecTV. If you call yourself a sports fan, you gotta get DirecTV.
400 miles from green flag to checkered today in race 3 in the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup. The field of 43 getting set to go down on the pit lane. An interesting grid for this 8th event here at the Kansas Speedway. And as we close in on the start, let's go upstairs for the call of today's race and say hello to Dr. Jerry Punch. Doc?
Thank you, Alan. Great job down there, guys. You know, after 2 races in the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup, here's how the points are shaken out. Carl Edwards is our leader, and 2-time winner Greg Biffle has now moved into a tie for second with Jimmie Johnson. Just 10 points back. There's Kyle Busch all the way back in 12th spot. Now, only 2 drivers now start in the top 10. 7 of them start 24th or worse. Hello, everyone. Along with Dale Jarrett and Andy Petrie, I'm Jerry Punch. Glad to have you with us. Now, guys, I guess the big surprise this year has been the performance early on in the chase of the Roush Fenway team, specifically Greg Biffle. Now, as we saw a moment ago, Greg Biffle starts back in 18th spot and Carl Edwards back in 34. So if you're them, what are your concerns?
Well, my concerns are the early laps of this race, because they can possibly get into a wreck if they don't stay out of trouble or make a bad decision. They could get in trouble before their good cars, which they had good cars in practice, before they can actually use those cars to get to the front.
Yeah, I agree, Andy. You know, things that are out of their control, I think that's what they're most concerned about. A slick racetrack starting here, things happening right in front of them that they can't avoid. That's what they have to be careful for. And I'm going to steal something from what their owner, Jack Rouse, said. Expectation. You know, they have these high expectations. Don't try to make those happen too quickly today.
After finishing 34th at New Hampshire and 43rd at Dover, a lot of people, including us, had written Kyle Busch out of the championship picture. But, guys, I beg to differ. You know, I'm thinking here, listen, DJ, is there any driver in the garage area more talented than Kyle Busch?
No, definitely not.
Okay, Andy, is there any driver in the series that has won more races or led more laps this year than Kyle Busch?
No.
So is there any reason not to believe that Kyle Busch can drive his way back into championship contention over these final 8 races?
Well, he's going to have to start running like he did when he won all those races and put up all those numbers, and I haven't seen that lately. But if he can, he might be able to do it.
Well, he definitely can do it, but I said before the chase started, if you have a problem, you're going to have 2 victories for every problem. That means 4 wins in these next 8 races. They're going to have to get busy.
He's got his work cut out for him, but there is precedent, folks. Take a look. 2 years ago, Jimmie Johnson left here 8th in the point standings, 165 points out, and he won the championship. Right now, 10 of the 12 drivers are within reach, and Denny Hamlin and Kyle Busch could also get there and make it a 12-man race for the title if with good runs here today. Let's go trackside for the command.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Director of Motorsports Camping World, Kurt Hunt, as he delivers the most famous words in motorsports.
Gentlemen, start your engine!
Fired up. Same here, buddy. Appreciate the race car, everybody's effort.
You know, all we got to do today is what we've been doing, guys. Just, we've been doing a great job.
Engines have fired, and 43 of NASCAR's finest are about to turn it loose here for 400 miles at Kansas Speedway. Current points leader Carl Edwards finished 37th here a year ago. as our in-race reporter. When we return, we'll get his thoughts on what might happen here today at his home track in Kansas City, Kansas. Beautiful day here in Kansas City, Kansas. Field getting set to roll. This broadcast is available in Spanish by activating your SAP button, presented by ESPN Deportes. Let's take a look at our starting grid. For the 5th time this year, Jimmie Johnson will lead the field to the green flag from the pole. And for the 2nd week in a row, Mark Martin will start on the outside of row 1. Now, while you watch to see where your favorite driver is starting, let's visit with our in-race reporter, the driver of the Office Depot Ford, Carl Edwards, who starts back in 34th today.
Carl, Dale Jarrett, the ESPN. You have a copy?
I got you, Dale.
Okay, Carl, home track, a lot of family and friends here today, but tell our viewers how your car was in happy hour yesterday, and do you have a shot at winning this race?
This Office Depot Fusion was a really good practice, really good. So, you know, I hope we've got a really good shot. I think we do. It's good and hot, slick out here, so you know, hopefully this balance we got in this car pays off. I'm excited about it.
Okay, Carl, our second question comes from our ESPN mailbag, and Tony in Atlanta, Georgia would like to know, in regard to fuel strategy, do you have a say, or do you leave it up to your crew chief to decide?
That's a good question, Tony. See, the beauty of what I've got going is I got the steering wheel, so I can kind of decide if I want to pull on pit road or not. But the problem with that is if I make the wrong decision, it's real bad. I have to hear about it from Jack and everybody. So we let Bob make the decisions on fuel strategy. I do now. I've learned my lessons on that one.
All right, thanks, Carl. That's a great answer. Have a great day. Now, Andy's going to talk to your crew chief, Bob Osborne.
Now, let's go down to the land of Oz. Bob Osborne, have you got us?
Got you, Andy. How you doing?
Hey, pretty good, Bob. You're starting back there pretty far. What kind of strategy are you going to use to get that 99 car to the front?
I'm going to kind of wait and see how it plays out here. If we get some long runs, I think we'll be fine. Let it string out. We'll be able to pass some cars. If we get a short caution, you never know. We might have to do 2 and get some track position.
Okay, Bob. Good luck. Thanks for talking to us.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. Possible troubles for one of our chasers who has not been able to roll off of pit road. Jeff Burton's supposed to start 37th, and they have called a crew member to the car. What are they doing, Andy?
Well, they're changing the tachometer right here, and that thing really is important, especially on pit road when they're making these pit stops. That's the only gauge they have to tell them how fast they're going. Must be having some kind of an issue here with it.
You heard Rusty Wallace say in Countdown that you cannot speed on pit road here. He was the dominant car back in 2001 and gave the race away by being caught speeding. That's why NASCAR is allowing them now to change that tack. What's this do to a driver, DJ, knowing you want to race and you can't even roll off pit road without having an issue?
Oh, man, there's nothing worse than to have an issue there. And I'm sure the car will crank up, and that's what, there's not an issue there, but the tack just wasn't working. And obviously, as we've documented there, you're going to have that for pit road speed, but it just puts you in the wrong mindset to start with, but just very strong mentally.
It's a ton of pressure, too, on these crew members trying to get this done.
Yeah, but NASCAR's going to work with them.
When I hit the button, right? So if I need to add to it and then hit the button, correct?
No, it will actually set at pit road speed and then add on the additional fudge room.
Yeah, what they're talking about, the fudge room there, is the pit road speed, and you get 5 miles per hour over that is what NASCAR allows you, but you can't be 1/10 over that or you're going to get a penalty. Looks like everything is working there now. They're putting the window net back up. The cars are going by him here, but he's not going to lose a lap because these obviously aren't counting yet. So everything looks like it's in place for him.
Jeff Burton's car is fired, and he will be rolling down. They've told him to go ahead and fall in line back in 37th, so he will as the field comes by. So many stories to follow today. Why don't we update which teams have the magic on the mile-and-a-half ovals? First, here's Jamie Little.
Well, Doc, when it comes to mile-and-a-half tracks, a team's performance can be crucial to the outcome of the championship. Why? Because 5 of the next 8 tracks we go to are mile-and-a-halves. So who has the advantage? Well, nobody really. Roush Fenway Racing has 31 wins on this type of track to Hendrick's 32. Each organization has 2 wins here at Kansas, so you have to wonder who's going to win today. Well, if you look yesterday at happy hour, you see Roush Fenway 1, 2, 3 on the board, and that was, of course, led by Greg Biffle. So it'll be interesting today. Dave Burns?
Jamie, before this race gets started, remember we've already established that 7 of the 12 chasers are starting in the back half of this field. And remember the 2 ways that they can get themselves out of trouble. First of all, Tony Stewart mentioned it. Have a great race car. You can pass cars and get your way to the front. The other way, take out only 2 or don't change any tires when you come down pit road when everybody else is changing 4. But in order for that to work, a caution has to come out at just the right time the next time the caution flies. You can't have lost your big advantage, and everyone needs to want to come down pit road with you in order to keep that advantage. Those are the 2 ways that our guys will try to get from the back to the front of the field. Shannon?
Well, Dave, this track has been very kind to non-chasers. 3 of the last 4 races have been won by drivers outside the championship hunt. One driver you want to keep your eye on who could be the spoiler today is Mark Martin, who ironically was the one chase driver who did win a race here at Kansas. Now, I spoke with Mark Martin just moments ago. He told me right now he's not sure as to what kind of car he has, whether it's a 1st or a 15th place car, but he said by that first pit stop, he should have a good idea if this is a car to beat. Mike Massaro?
Well, Shannon, your #1 seed, Kyle Busch, comes into this race a distant 210 points back, but he says his team has never quit and isn't about to start right now. He says for the remainder of the season, they're going to go in with a nothing-to-lose attitude. And when they unload that race car at the beginning of the weekend, the objective will be on one thing, to win races. And for a guy, Doc, who has 8 wins this year, it's pretty clear he can back those words up.
It's going to be interesting to watch him early on here trying to make his way to the front. Kyle Petty's right rear tire changer, DJ Cup, there will be taking us over the wall into the danger zone today. Will be interesting to watch him during these hectic pit stops. We'll also take you inside the action with onboard cameras on 8 different cars, including 7 of our chase contenders. You see there we got 2-time Kansas winner Jeff Gordon carrying an onboard camera today. The 31 car was scheduled to start back in 37th position, but by working on the car, NASCAR has now told him he will have to go back and start 43rd. So he's at the very back of the field and have to lose too much there by going all the way back. It is a 400-mile, 267-lap race. Pit road speed a crucial. They're 45 miles an hour. They do give you a 5-mile-an-hour balance there, and there's the pit window.
Yeah, and then the corners are banked, or there's the lack of banking in the corners, 15 degrees. That's going to be a little bit of an issue for these guys today.
We talked about the favorites, guys. Who are your sleepers, DJ?
I'm going with 2nd-year driver David Reagan. He had a great race here yesterday, finishing 3rd in the nationwide race. We've seen a lot of good things happen for him. I think he's going to have another good race today.
And Casey Mears right there in front of him is qualified in the top 10, and this is a good racetrack for Casey. Look for him to have a good race today.
NASCAR's heavyweight set to get it on. 400 miles here in the heartland at Kansas Speedway. Packed house, lots of Midwestern NASCAR fans on their feet. Glad to have you with us. It is stop number 3 in the 2008 chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup. And here they come to the green flag.
Green, green, green.
They are going to black flag the 07. This car, Clint Boyer, for passing before the start, and that's huge.
That's going to put him in a huge hole because he's going to have to come down pit road at pit road speed. He's going to lose close to a lap, if not going a lap down by doing that.
Not the way that Clint Boyer wanted to start here at his home racetrack.
Man, look at this. Look at this 83 car, Brian Vickers.
Yeah, I don't think we got. Yeah, I'm not sure we got the fans ready for this. This is going to be exciting today. These guys are going to pass everywhere that they get an opportunity. They're going to be 2 and 3 wide for the majority of the day.
They were 3 wide a moment ago coming off of turn 2. By the way, the rule is on the start of the race, you cannot pass anybody until you get past the start-finish line left or right. You can pass on the outside.
Pass through, outside.
Yeah, the problem is if everybody else knows that as he's slowing down, it's a tough pit road to get on, and he had a lot of guys behind him.
Let's show you what happened on the start here. Here's Clint Boyer.
Yeah, that's legal on a restart, but it's not legal on the start of the race. We saw Dale Earnhardt Jr. get this same penalty at Bristol earlier.
Sure did. Yeah, exactly. And it's just something sometimes you forget mentally that at the start of that race, they tell you in every driver's meeting.
Leaders are in turn 4.
Middle 3 and 4.
He hits that line. He's going to have to hammer the throttle because here come the leaders in the trial.
Yeah. He is going to get a lap down, I believe, before he can get up to speed. Bad start to his day, but as we said, long 400 miles here.
Jimmie Johnson pulling in. You can look out the back of Clint Boyer's car, and Clint looking in that mirror knowing I got to get going in a hurry.
The one thing you'll have on his side here for a little bit, even as Jimmie Johnson starts to close in on him, if he does happen to get lapped, he will be the only car for quite a while that will be a lap down. And if we should have a caution, he could get that free pass. Whoa, we have contact there.
Earnhardt Jr. There's Allmendinger, Jeff Gordon. Allmendinger slides down across the racetrack.
Yeah, we're going to be saying that a lot today. Sliding a lot in contact probably, because these guys, these race cars are difficult to drive, and you put them on 15 degrees of banking that is very slick. We're going to see guys out of control for quite a bit of the day.
Looking back at A.J. Allmendinger, and a lot of guys are chasing the championship. Here's a guy that's chasing a ride and a job for 2009. He's trying to get hired by somebody.
Yeah, he doesn't have time to wait on these guys. He's got to go now. This might be the last ride he gets in this car this year.
See Jeff Gordon making a move there to the high side of his teammate. Here's a replay. See Dale Jr. down on the bottom. He's trying to make a move around Casey Mears.
He just gets real loose.
Yeah, he got his left front down on the apron. That can create a really loose situation. AJ was coming up, kind of got in the left rear and then had to avoid more contact there. Jr. was falling back a little bit. Looks like he's got a good car. He just made that one time. You want to keep that left front down there as much as you can, but you get it below that white line and it really turns the car hard.
We saw in practice this 88 car was very strong, but it wasn't until he moved to the top of the racetrack that he was able to really look good, and it may take him a little while to get there.
We told you points leader Carl Edwards started 34th, and now he's trying to make a move inside and will take the spot away from Kyle Busch. Edwards now up to 24th position, up 10 spots in 7 laps.
Yeah, he's not wasting much time. I talked to Carl yesterday. He was pretty excited about his chances with this race car. He said this place is going to be hot and slick, and he was grinning as he was saying that.
Yeah, this is the risky part of the race for Carl, trying to come through all this traffic and race these guys. Made up a lot of spots, but he's got to be careful not to put himself in a bad position.
Also making a move, there's a 20 car. You heard Tony Stewart talking in countdown. He said, I'm not going to be back there very long. This track's going to get slick, and that's going to come right in my wheelhouse because he can drive a slick racetrack and a slipping and sliding car.
We were watching happy hour lap times yesterday, and his car really looked good in these long runs. Shannon?
Greg Zipadelli told me this morning that one of the biggest challenges this 20 team is going to face is not over-adjusting that car. He said being back there in traffic is going to be a challenge for us. We're going to feel like we're tight, but we might not be. So knowing that and going into this race, knowing that, that will be one obstacle we'll have to overcome. Of course, making their way from 41st is another one, guys.
Yeah, that's a great point, Shannon, because you get back in there and you lose that air on the front end of that car, and you might be complaining about your car being tight when you're actually not that. So they'll have to probably not make any adjustments. Go what Tony says and then look at the air pressures as they take those tires off.
Tony all the way up to 26th position now from 41st. Here's the 9 car, Casey Kane, and of course the 5 car, Casey Mears, one of the sleepers here.
Yeah, he's having a good run. It's been a good racetrack in the past for him. You see Paul Menard right in front of these 2 cars. Paul had a great qualifying effort, qualifying in the top 10.
Bill awesome Bill up there in that high groove.
Yeah.
That 21's been strong this week.
See Jeff Gordon back there as well, right behind Bill Elliott in the 24 car. And if you just joined our coverage, Jeff is under the weather. He said it's the worst he has ever felt getting ready to climb in a race car. He's been sick all weekend, and they do have Brad Keselowski standing by, the NASCAR Nationwide Series driver, to get in and relief if Jeff were to need it.
He's had a great car this week in practice, but you know, being under the weather's got to be tough.
Yeah, it is tough, you know, but a lot of times there's no better medicine than getting inside that race car, away from everything else and putting your mind away from that. You just stop thinking about it because you know that you have to concentrate solely on driving the race car.
Jeff right now riding a 33-race winless streak back to Charlotte in October of 2007. Matt Kenseth trying to reel in the leader, Jimmie Johnson. And for you Clint Boyer fans, he is hanging on the lead lap out in front of the leader. Back after this message and a word from our ABC stations. Jimmie Johnson currently leads the Camping World RV 400. That is until the 17 car of Matt Kenseth comes to the outside and takes the lead away.
Yeah, it was just a lap before. He had been following Jimmie Johnson, and the lap before he went to the high side down in turns 1 and 2. got a nice run down the backstretch and used that in 3 and 4 and then to make the pass back in 1 and 2. Shannon?
Chip Bowling, crew chief for Matt Kenseth, told me this morning that this weekend has been uneventful, and that is a good thing for the 17 camp. He told me that when you have to tell your driver to come off the racetrack during practice, the car is good, and that's how it's been this weekend for Matt Kenseth in that 17.
Guys, when you look at this racetrack, if you go in the garage area, drivers say this is a perfect Matt Kenseth type of track. What do they mean by that?
I think Matt really works hard at getting his car to handle well, and if you can get your car to handle well, and we just heard Chip report that he had to bring Matt in off the racetrack, it's because Matt Kenseth enjoys the challenge that you have, not having that banking to rely on. You have to really make the chassis work, and that's where he excels.
Kenseth is our leader. Still in front of him is the 07 of Clint Boyer, who got a black flag on the start of the race because he passed before the start-finish line. Now, a year ago, the 07 of Clint Boyer was black flagged for speeding on pit road, got a speeding penalty, had to come back down, and guess what he did? He still drove the car all the way back through the field and finished second. So let's not give up on Clint just yet.
Oh, he's running good here. He stayed out in front of these guys nice. Car looks great. He's got that clean air, though.
Yeah, he's actually pulled away from these guys. They came out probably only about 6 or 7 car lengths behind him, and then he's made a nice little run to widen that gap.
Well, he pulled away from Jimmie Johnson. Now comes Matt Kenseth. He's running a little faster. He might be able to run Clint down. Jamie?
Well, one guy watching the front runners right now is Martin Truex Jr. All weekend, you guys, this organization, DEI, has been very strong. If you look right now, 3 of their 4 teams are running in the top 10. Paul Menard rounding out the top 10. But Martin Truex Jr. says this is the best feeling car he's had in a long time. Right now, he's already moved up 2 positions. We got to keep an eye on him. You guys talk about the dark horse. I think I'm picking him for my dark horse. What do you think?
Not a bad pick, Jamie. He's running pretty good. Last lap, he was about the fastest car on the racetrack.
Pretty good 3-car battle here. 84 is Allmendinger, 15 of Menard, 21 of Elliott. That is 10th, 11th, and 12th.
Yeah, he's made a nice little run here at the start of this race. Car looks pretty good.
We commented on Allmendinger a moment ago. He has been notified, in case you had not heard, that he will not be back in the 84 car next year. It may not be back after this weekend, so he's trying to impress some people and look at rides for 2009. They're going to put Scott Speed, who came from Formula One and now in the ARCA, into that Cup car in 2009.
Whoa, see Paul Menard really get sideways there. Bill Elliott right on his bumper. You're going to see that a lot today. These cars, now they've got 21 laps on their tires. You're going to see the handling start going away on some of these cars that aren't as well balanced. We heard Tony Stewart say that in our pre-race show.
See Greg Biffle behind these guys. His car looks great down on the bottom of the racetrack. Looked great every race so far in the chase. Almost every lap so far.
Yeah, we were worried about Carl Edwards back there starting 34th. He's already picked up 17 spots. You see these guys battling again. Here's Carl Edwards. Car looks really, really good. Mike?
Yeah, and you know, coming into this race, this team real confident that they could do well here. Just felt like they made a little bit of a mistake in qualifying. In practice, they got real loose. They tried to adjust to it, and unfortunately went way too far, got way too tight in qualifying. That forced them to start toward the back of the field in 34th. But Bob Osborne, coming into today, knew he had a very good car in race trim, and he said, as long as we can keep it out of trouble, we should be all right. And he said, Kansas is not so bad starting 34th compared to some of the other racetracks because it's big and wide here.
Mike, you mentioned the back of the field. That's where the 42 car had to start. Juan Pablo Montoya. But on Friday, he was the fastest car in qualifying, and NASCAR disallowed that run in post-race, post-qualifying inspection because of too much gas pressure in the shock absorbers. They made him start back in 42nd position, and right now, Juan Pablo moving up nicely.
He's got that high groove working really, really good, but he's been in a couple tight spots. I've seen him 3 and 4 wide a couple times.
Telemetry on the 18 car of Kyle Busch. Is he having some issues here, guys?
Well, he was keeping pace with Carl Edwards for the early part of this race, but now it looks like Carl has gotten away from him and actually separated himself quite a bit from Kyle Busch. I don't know if it's the motor or what's going on here.
I don't know. He didn't see quite as much RPM as you normally would think going down the front stretch for him there.
He's getting passed by a lot of cars right here.
Yeah, by the 70 car right there.
200, 240, 13.5 volts, oil pressure 60.
that's pretty normal, Andy.
Yeah, that sounds a lot like what happened last week. All the gauges were normal. Everything looked good, but the engine started going away.
Shannon?
Guys, about 3 laps ago, Kyle Busch came over the radio and he said he heard an engine pitch change. Of course, there's some concern on top of that 18 pit box, and then a couple moments ago, he just said, my engine's failing. So right now, they're just taking a look at what Kyle Busch is doing on the track. You heard what he said is going on inside that car, so we'll just have to keep our eye on that right now.
Well, what happened to this engine last week was a coating on the lifter. It rides right over the cam, and that thing right there is such a delicate part of this engine, and it's a hard thing to really get a fix on and say, okay, we know we've got it fixed. They might still have this same issue going on.
Yeah.
Fuel pressure gauge junk.
Okay, one thing he might have going on here could be a fuel pressure problem, though. He just said something about that.
Yeah, that could be. Change, you see Juan Pablo Montoya going by the 18 here. And another thing, if he breaks a valve spring or something, that'll change the pitch a lot in the engine. It's amazing how these guys can pick up, how quickly you can pick up. You have a good ear for that.
Battle back up front for second spot. Martin Truex now beginning to move in a little bit on Jimmie Johnson.
Yeah, Martin's using that high line. He's really been fast here. A number of his lap times have been quicker than our leader, Matt Kenseth. So you see he's pulled right up on the bumper of Jimmie Johnson. Jimmie's moved up on the track a little bit. He had been strictly on the bottom. Maybe he's just going to let Martin Truex go by here, not force the issue too much at the early part of this race.
DJ, is it driver preference or does the spotter, who helps you when you decide to come here and run as to which line you run and when you want to change lines during the race?
Yeah, it's mostly up to the driver most of the time, but a lot of times the driver will say, okay, tell me where so-and-so's running. You can obviously look in the mirror, and he could have seen that the one car was running the high line, but you'll ask where other cars are running, and the spotters can tell you that if you have somebody that's really good at keeping up with the race. We see Martin Truex making the pass for second right here on Jimmie Johnson.
Johnson back to third. Brian Vickers moving in as well. Elliott Sadler is fifth, and one of the quickest cars on the racetrack was the sleeper that Andy Petrie mentioned, the 5 car of Casey Mears, who has had back-to-back top 5 finishes here the last 2 years he has come to Kansas. You're watching ESPN on ABC.
Still under green as we continue at the Kansas Speedway with Matt Kenseth leading after 33 of 267 laps. Our AT&T Crew Chief Challenge: which of the top 4 non-chase qualifiers has the best chance to be a spoiler today? Mark Martin, Elliott Sadler, Martin Truex Jr., or Paul Menard? Good luck picking, because they're all running in the top 14 spots right now. To play, text the word CREW to 191 on your AT&T wireless phone and send us your answer to the results later in the race. Standard text rate applies. It is hard to believe this could be happening again, but Kyle Busch falling back through the field. He's 33rd now. This on his radio a moment ago.
We ought to try to come fix it before we kill it. You know what I mean? Try to make us some laps. Try to make some laps. Get all we can.
We need to go to the garage if we do it.
Seriously. Tell me when you got everything set up, Butter.
Crew Chief Steve Addington with the lead on that conversation as the 18 team sets things up in the garage area to try and effect what repairs they can on that Toyota. It's hard to believe this is happening to this team again.
I can't believe it. 3 in a row right now. This has definitely put them out of the chase. I mean, 2 races okay, but 3 guys, that's hard to make up there. Brad, I can't believe this is happening.
Yeah, this is just almost unfathomable. I mean, Kyle Busch, the hottest driver in the series this year, totally dominates the series, gets to this point. We expect him to be a championship contender. He is completely out of it now, and then once again, another mechanical issue with his race car.
So while they await Kyle Busch back in the garage, let's check on some of the front runners in the race right now with our Ford up to speed. Shannon has the leader's pit.
Alan, it's hard to believe that just 2 weeks ago, Matt Kenseth said he didn't even think he'd be a factor in this chase. I spoke with his crew chief, Chip Bolin, this morning, and I asked him about those comments. He said, you know, I think people misunderstood what Matt was saying. I think he meant to say that he didn't really think he was going to be good at Loudon and Dover. Obviously, he had his best finish last weekend, and of course, he's leading the race right now. But Matt Kenseth on a roll for that 17 team, and certainly looks like he's going to be a factor. As far as Jimmie Johnson, currently running 4th, I spoke with crew chief Chad Knaus, who said, unlike years in the past, this team does not have a lot of pressure right now. He told me, you know, we've won 2 championships. We know that we can get it done. We have the team. We have the car, and we certainly have the driver. Dave?
Driver 24, Jeff Gordon, soldiering on out there. His car just a little bit tight in the middle of the corner. That's his last report. Remember earlier we talked about Brad Keselowski, current Nationwide driver and future driver at Hendrick Motorsports, standing by. Well, we're being told, working with the DirecTV folks as an analyst today. Now, that location is in our TV compound. That's outside the track. So if Jeff is feeling poorly, he's going to have to give Brad plenty of notice to get from outside the track to inside the track. Shannon?
Yeah, for Greg Biffle. I spoke with Greg Irwin this morning, and he told me that the main concern coming into today's race was the fact that this car doesn't seem as good as it has been the last 2 weeks. You heard Greg say in the countdown show that he wasn't very happy with this car off the track. They did make some small changes, and they feel like they're going to be good in this race. Mike?
Earlier this week, Shannon, the 88 team spent some time at the Kentucky Speedway working on various things. They felt like they ironed out a handling package that would work pretty well, but so far, Dale Jr. complaining that the car is very loose and rolling over on the right front. The one thing he's saying is very good. He's pretty good right now in the center. Meanwhile, you've got Carl Edwards. He has picked up more than 17 spots since the drop of the green flag. His only concern, though, is how hard he's been driving that car. He said he's used a lot of brakes, and they're getting very hot. Jamie?
And Kevin Harvick driving behind the wheel of his favorite car. 7th time he's raced this car. Only 1 time has it finished outside the top 10. That was at Indianapolis. He told me the car was feeling great. They changed next to nothing this weekend. He started 36th, right now 23rd. Shannon?
Yeah, Tony Stewart right now says the car is getting tighter, something that may be a result of being in all that traffic starting 41st. Now in practice, Tony Stewart spent a lot of time working all of the lines on the track, and according to his crew chief Greg Zipadelli, he felt good wherever he put this car. Dave?
Shannon, I told you as this race started that if a car was good, that's one way to work yourself out of trouble. Denny Hamlin's car is not good. He's only gained a couple of positions since the start of this race, and as he's getting pressure now from Jeff Burton to the inside, he has told his crew chief on numerous occasions, very tight race car as we have a battle for the lead, guys.
Martin Truex Jr. goes by and out in front as he takes the top spot away from Matt Kenseth. Wasn't he one of those guys in our crew chief challenge just a minute ago?
Absolutely, man. Old Martin's having a strong run for that DEI Chevrolet. That's good to see.
I think he was C. Better check him, right?
I believe so. Old Martin's up on the wheel.
And he's about to put a lap. Look, Kyle Busch.
Man, what's up with that? What's up with Kyle's car?
Kyle's trying to feel what's broken in the car, kind of moving the car around a little bit right now.
Remember we mentioned fuel pressure a minute ago?
Yeah, maybe the pickups. Yeah, he's not getting the fuel pickup, possibly.
All right, let's continue checking in on the final of our championship contenders. Jamie?
Well, Dave mentioned him. Jeff Burton on the move. Remember the start of the race, his tack was dead on his car. They actually had to replace the tack so he can get his RPMs and get his pit road speed going. So they made him drop to the back of the field because they worked on the car before the race. Now he's made his way up. He's 28th right now, fighting his way back. The team says they're pretty good, pretty consistent, but they don't have the speed they're looking for. Dave?
Well, Jamie, I told you most everything I knew about the 11 car. There was one word I didn't use that the driver has used about its handling right now. Terrible. Mike?
Well, Dave, with Clint Bowyer growing up just over 100 miles from this racetrack, you can imagine the emotional blow he took when he had to take a pass-through penalty at the beginning of this race, falling all the way to the back of the field. There was radio silence, at least on his part, when that happened. Clint's crew chief, Gil Martin, on the other hand, played cheerleader, just trying to pick him up, trying to keep him focused on this race, telling him to wait to get that lucky dog. He's fought his way back onto the lead lap, but he still has a ways to go, Shannon.
Well, for Kyle Busch, still problems. They have not been able to determine what is wrong with that car just yet. They have the guys in the back garage waiting to see if maybe Kyle Busch needs to pull that car back there so they can try to diagnose it and possibly fix it. But right now, still no word as to what's going on in that car. Alan.
All right, so there are the days of the 12 championship contenders thus far. Clint Bowyer last on the lead lap, Kyle Busch a lap down, and Matt Kenseth, the fastest of them, in second spot. But Martin Truex Jr., one of the non-chasers out in front of this race. You see some of the other top non-chase drivers at this point.
Leaders headed for pit road. Matt Kenseth is there. Jimmie Johnson is there. Shannon.
Matt Kenseth saying that the car is just a little bit too loose on exit. They're going to make an air pressure adjustment. 4 tires and fuel for this 17 team. Just a little bit further down pit road on that very first pit stall, you have championship leader. He's taking 4 tires. He says the car is loose off and snug in the center. 4 tires for this 48 team as they clean that grill and get Jimmie Johnson on his way. Mike.
Carl Edwards now headed down pit road. He's pretty happy with the race car, but they'll still make a slight track bar adjustment and an air pressure adjustment. 4 tires and he's away.
Casey Mears in the 5 car. Trouble on pit road. The 99 trying to get out of his pits behind Brian Vickers.
Get to the grass here. Get to the grass. Let's go. All right, dig hard. Watch your blend line here. Watch your blend line.
Let's go down to the 1 pit. Jamie.
Well, guys, Martin Truex Jr. intended to pit that last lap with the other leaders. He couldn't get to pit road, so he was forced to pit right now. They're worried the track is going to loosen up a bit, so they're going to make an air pressure adjustment. 4 tires for Martin Truex Jr., who fought from 5th and was your leader. He's down and away. Dave?
They'll make a chassis adjustment on Jeff Gordon's car. There you see the wrench in the rear window. 4 tire change, air pressure as well. Staying in the car right now is Jeff Gordon. Remember, not feeling well today. Mike?
Dale Earnhardt Jr. saying the car's been loose and been rolling over a little bit on the right front. They're going to make a chassis adjustment, also an air pressure adjustment. 4 tires and fuel for Dale Earnhardt Jr. He's away, a good stop.
Leaders on and off pit road. There's Jeff Gordon coming down. Earnhardt Jr. Michael Waltrip had stayed out to lead a lap and get those valuable 5 bonus points. Now he comes in for his first stop of the day.
Been watching all of these guys come on the pit road. This is a tough pit road to get on because you literally don't have much space from the time that you exit the racetrack to get on there, so they want to carry that speed, but other guys have to be paying attention to these guys, and they all did a terrific job. We saw Martin Truex, when he made his pit stop, was really angled in. We heard him report that he wanted to come in the lap earlier, but what that did was get him in a position that Kyle Petty was already in his pit, and it kind of made it difficult for him to get in and out.
Kyle Busch on the racetrack, and he is waving to tell the cars behind him that he is, and by the way, by leading a lap, he gets those 5 bonus points.
Yeah, he might have learned something from yesterday.
Yeah, that's why he's waving. We had the same idea there. Yeah. Exactly. He got run into from behind trying to get to pit road yesterday, so he was making sure that everybody could see that he was coming in on the pit road.
Will this be simple? So just a pit stop. They are ready back in the garage area to make adjustments on the fuel filter or fuel pump in the car, but he says it's running intermittently, so he's staying on the racetrack and coming down for his pit stop. Shannon.
Doc, Kyle Busch is just going to try to ride this out as long as he can. The team told me if they do get a yellow, they will change that carburetor, but only under a yellow. Right now, they're going to take 4 tires and fuel and get Kyle Busch back out on the track.
Kyle Busch leaving a couple of drivers black flagged, 21 for too fast exiting. That's Bill Elliott, the 77 of Sam Hornick's too fast entering pit road. And a moment ago, the incident on pit road we were looking at, Carl Edwards having to back up to get out of his pit stall.
See, he's ready to go, and he pulls out of his pit stall. Oh, he was way past his pit stall whenever this 83 of Brian Vickers just cut right across the nose of this car.
Well, it cost him a lot of time, but it could have been a lot worse damage, and he did a good job. And then the best thing was
alongside the 12. Watch this 83.
Well, he did a nice job just to miss the right front tire carrier for Tony Stewart.
Yeah, a little late on the spotter. Tell him to watch the 83. That's something that should have been being communicated to Carl before that.
Yeah, these drivers don't realize who's coming in and who's going out. He probably thought this 83 car was just going to keep going down pit road and didn't expect to see that left-hand turn.
Yeah, and we've talked about before how difficult these cars are to see out the back. That's why the spotters are really helpful. Let's listen in to Carl.
But tell me if somebody's going to pull in next to us. The car about to get into it? Yeah, I don't know how hard though.
Carl Edwards having to back up to get out of the Brian Vickers pit stall, not his own pit stall. So a little bit of fender pushing, but he seems to be okay. There's a 17 car. Matt Kenseth being shown as our leader. Matt had taken the lead from Jimmie Johnson on lap 17 and had led 28 of the next laps. He has now led twice for 29 laps. Back after this message and a word from our ABC station.
I got your world in my hands.
Tomorrow night, two AFC North Division rivals battle between the lines at Heinz Field as Ray Lewis and the Ravens try to slow down Ben Roethlisberger and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Monday Night Football on ESPN at 8:30 Eastern Time. Coverage begins at 7 Eastern with Monday Night Countdown delivered by UPS. Dale Earnhardt Jr. making a move inside of the 6th car of David Reagan. Jr. being shown now in the 11th position.
Oh, gets a little loose, but it gets off the corner good.
Yeah, doesn't look like his car is bad, but I think it's still just a little bit on the free side for him.
I expected to see him at the top of the racetrack. You see a lot of cars already running that very extreme top groove, but Junior's on the bottom now.
The car's a little bit loose. Makes it difficult to get up there sometimes. You have to have a car that'll turn, but if you're loose and not sure how far it's going to slide sometimes, makes it hard to get up there. He's just ahead of him is Joey Logano in the 96 car up on the high side.
Joey, the 18-year-old, making only his 2nd start. He will be a full-time Sprint Cup driver in 2009, taking over that 20 car for Tony Stewart.
It's finally going a little bit tougher over here in this series. I'll tell you, this is a tough bunch to run with.
Yes, it's the best, and he is a lap down as he races with these cars. So he and we have 29 cars right now that are still on the lead lap.
Mark Martin in the 8 car. 2nd week in a row he's qualified on the front row. Had a great run at Dover a week ago, finishing in 4th position. More on Mark Martin with Dave.
And Doc, as we established at the front of that show, just nursing a sore left foot. Nothing reported from the driver right now on that. He's driving on. A wedge adjustment on that stop the last time. They were a little bit slow on the left front, lost a couple of positions in this cycle because the hose got caught as the guys were coming around the front of the car. Other than that, just a little bit of a loose race car at the end of the last run.
Yesterday in the NASCAR Nationwide Series race, Mark Martin slammed the wall. Had a tire issue, and the car just spun around and just slammed it driver's side first. That's the sore left foot. Here is Greg Biffle, who's been Mr. Chase for the Sprint Cup thus far in 2008. Making his way around the 83 car. That would be for 7th spot.
Vickers slipped back a little. Brian Vickers when he came in the pits, he had been running 3rd and in a really good spot up on the high side of the racetrack. He'd made up quite a bit of ground. But that little incident on pit road with Carl Edwards cost him some time also. Greg Biffle's on the mark.
People may wonder, how can you win 2 races in the chase and not be the points leader? Well, folks, what happens is after 26 races, the 12 drivers are seeded based on wins. Greg Biffle had not won a race in 32 races. So he did not get the 10 bonus points that some of the other drivers got for winning. In fact, Kyle Busch got 80 bonus points. But that all changed at New Hampshire when Biffle snapped that winless streak and won there, and then won and gained 6 spots, and then won at Dover last week and gained into a tie for 2nd place with Jimmie Johnson. So if he wins this weekend, good chances are that he will become the points leader here in the chase.
Make up that bonus point deficit he had pretty quickly if he keeps doing what he's been doing.
There's 19 of Elliott Sadler having a good run here also in the top 10. He started 4th today. He's in the 9th spot right now. Speaking with Elliott last night, he was telling me a little bit more about what they did at Charlotte to help their cars, and said there's some things that they had gotten away from that they were doing back earlier in the year. They thought that they were improving, but they were actually hurting their race cars. So he was a lot more excited about today's race.
Jimmie Johnson trying to ease back in, maybe and take that 2nd spot away from Martin Truex.
Looks like Chad Knaus adjusted on this 48 car a little bit because he's stronger this run.
Yeah, a little stronger, and Truex's car really didn't come in until they got a little over 20 laps on their tires. You see him a little bit loose right there, right in the center of that corner. He's fallen back a little bit. He's about 2.5 seconds back. Jamie?
On that last pit stop, guys, they were supposed to make an air pressure adjustment on the 1 car. Martin Truex Jr., you see him running up high there. But Bono, Kevin Mannion, his crew chief, said, I think the track is going to loosen up a bit. Let's make an air pressure adjustment. Martin said no. Well, now he says he's loose up off. They're wishing they made that adjustment. We'll see if it's good enough to hold off the 48, Shannon.
Yeah, on the first run, Jimmie Johnson also was a little loose off, snug in the center as Jimmie Johnson goes to the low line, trying to take that lead. And right now, they did make some adjustments on that last pit stop as Jimmie Johnson right now goes around Martin Truex Jr. Right now, obviously, as you can see, that car has Johnson. He says that there's a lot more rear grip on this run than there was on the first, so it looks like those changes are working.
Jimmie Johnson is the two-time and defending NASCAR Sprint Cup champion. We asked Jimmie Johnson, what's it going to take for you to be able to make it 3 in a row?
I think we need to keep doing exactly what we're doing. We've been winning races, we've been leading laps, we've been doing it on a variety of tracks, different setups, different everything. So I feel we are where we need to be. We don't need to change anything. We need to keep doing what we're doing and just see where it goes from there.
He's done a lot of that winning and leading laps in this car. This car, by the way, the one that set on the pole at Indianapolis Motor Speedway and led 71 laps, and also set on the pole and led 228 laps in California, winning both races.
Yeah, and what's impressive to me about this race team is, Andy, they're able to adjust on their car. We hear so many times and make it better. We hear a lot of the other teams and drivers struggling when they try to make adjustments. They can't make their car better, but these guys seem to be able to.
That's a sign of a good race team when you can improve your car during the race. Sometimes you can get that setup where it's numb to changes on pit road. You can't really seem to change it. This team, it gets that car very adjustable, and when the track changes, they're able to adapt.
Earlier, we asked you in our AT&T Crew Chief Challenge, which of the top 4 non-chase qualifiers has the best chance to be a spoiler here today? Did you vote for Martin, Sadler, Truex, or Menard? Let's see how the votes Martin Truex Jr., who's got a very good car today.
They're paying attention, aren't they, watching what's happening here? I think that's a good choice. I wouldn't count Mark Martin out of that, and certainly not Elliott Sadler.
18 car, if you just joined our coverage, was having issues with the car sputtering and not running at full song, and they've been staying on the racetrack but doing a lot of communicating about what's going on. Shannon.
Doc, the communication really, I mean, the confusion is really down here on the 18. Caution is out. Well, a lot of confusion down here in the 18 pit stop. Of course, we reported earlier we thought there was an engine problem. This is the latest that we heard over the radio.
I know it's highly unlikely, but it acted as though something got sucked down into the motor, and it finally burned away. Now it's gone.
Yeah, 10-4, buddy. You're just picked up some track there in the carburetor.
Well, when he says he thinks it burned away, it's because this car seems to be coming back to him. He's running fastest laps on the track right now. His crew chief reminded him that he is only 1 lap down, and that's certainly feasible for him to make that 1 lap up.
Thanks, Shannon. We'll keep an eye on the 18. Maybe his luck is starting to turn a little bit. They stayed on the racetrack. They thought about going to the garage area. This is the reason for the caution flag, by the way. The 12 car of Ryan Newman a moment ago sliding up across the racetrack.
Yeah, you can see he's trying that high groove. He's been running that high groove too, but he got just a little too high here and scraped the wall.
Yeah, and you could see something fly off of there back in the middle of the corner. Yeah, got in there a little bit hot, back in, got out from under it into the wall. And we couldn't see it from that shot, but something did fly, a piece of sheet metal or something there, and a piece of aluminum that probably fell onto the racetrack.
A piece of that inner sheet metal that they put in there, the inner panels. When you hit the wall like that, all that stuff gets knocked loose.
Yeah, he was running in 17th position at the time, so he was moving. It moved up into the top 20, moving toward the top 15 when he had that issue, bringing out the caution for the first time. Well, crews are ready on pit road. Lap 75. They came in and made their first stop around lap 50, so 25 laps ago. Everyone should be coming in for fresh rubber.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely. And we saw Clint Boyer being the first car behind Matt Kenseth. He will be the one getting the free pass, so he'll be back on the lead lap as these guys head to pit road, but everybody wants 4 tires, make some more adjustments.
Here come the leaders down, 45 miles an hour. Let's go down to Jamie.
Much needed caution for the 1 car. They wanted to make that air pressure adjustment. He had to run up high. He was getting so loose. Spinning the tires, air pressure, 4 tires. That is it. Shannon, Dave.
Top of the screen, Jamie. Casey Mears is in. Scott Radel, the catch can man, will turn the track bar down a half a round car, just a little bit loose. Air pressure adjustment as well. Shannon?
Matt Kenseth says the car could just be a little bit snugger. They're going to try to fix that with air pressure. 4 tires for the 17, and right below him you see Jimmie Johnson already inside his pit stall. They're going to take 4 tires. This is the same car Jimmie Johnson won the pole and the race at Indianapolis, Montana. So high hope for that 48 team today. A little bit of a long pit stop for that 48 team.
Loose tire on pit road, and they all able to dodge it. And Casey Mears guys get it done, gain a couple of spots. Jimmie Johnson lost 3 positions. Casey Kane up 4 spots. And there's the retrieval of that tire from the Red Bull crew member
Carl Edwards had some more contact or close contact there with the 22 car on pit road.
First caution flag of the day, second pit stop of the day. Back with the restart at Kansas in just a moment. Welcome back to the Camping World RV 400 under caution for the first time today here at Kansas Speedway. Pit stops have taken place. Again, some contact on pit road. Let's show you the middle of the frame now. 3 cars, sort of a crowding issue there, trying to get down the pit road.
Yeah, we're going to look right in this area right here. Here's Jeff Burton coming.
Dave Blaney comes out. There's the contact between Blaney and the 99. Burton in the middle group couldn't go out, and Blaney had nowhere to go, and there was contact. There was a little bumping and rubbing there. Carl Edwards back in the pits. 17 car had come back on a moment ago for a missing left front lug nut. He comes back in.
Yeah, this team's done a great job on pit road, but this is a little mistake, and it's going to put them way back here. We'll have a lot of time to make it up, but yeah, a great run going so far.
So that's 3 pit stops of 17 cars made into this caution. The first stop, the second one to come back in to put that left front lug nut on, and this one back in to top off.
Yeah, look who's leading.
All right, yeah, that's your sleeper. I know the 5 car. Casey Mears doing a great job. Let's check in on the damage on the 31 car. Jamie.
Well, Doc, the team's just telling me that Jeff Burton thinks he had some damage from that same incident as the 99 of Carl Edwards. They're checking out the left rear. He thinks it's rubbing, so they're keeping an eye on that. Not sure if they should bring it down or not. Jeff Burton just came on the radio and said, man, this has been an eventful race so far, guys.
Well, I think it's going to only get more eventful as we go on through the day. These restarts create a lot of happenings on this front straightaway. As we get down into turn 1, we see them 3 wide.
41 and 7, by the way, too fast on exit. They Reed Sorensen in the 7 car, Robbie Gordon. Kevin Harvick up to 10th position, so he's making a move. It keeps on coming, and Casey Mears, who has finished 2nd and 4th the last 2 times he has come here, has one good race car.
He does, but look at this 18 car now. It's finally back up to speed. You can tell by just on that restart that his engine is running up to full song. He's trying to get by Bill Elliott right here on the inside to be that first car down 1 lap so he can get this thing back.
Get that 4 wide down the straightaway there. That was Sam Hornish all the way down on the apron.
They're still 3 wide.
Yeah, they're going to be 4 wide here.
Paul Menard on the outside.
Yeah, Tony Stewart made a nice little pass there to get himself out of that. Matt Kenseth, you can see, still right in the middle of it. That's not where you want to be at this point in time, but you make mistakes and you put yourself in that position, Andy.
Yeah, that's the thing. You know, the going back, you can make it back up, but it puts you in such a position like this, and it takes it out of your control. These guys make a mistake in front of you, you're piled into them.
There are 29 cars on the lead lap. Kyle Busch right now would be the first car a lap down in the 30th position. He would get the free pass if the yellow were to come back out. Bobbing and weaving behind Jeff Burton. Tony Stewart is there. Marcus Ambrose on the high side there running the table. They've been running 2 and 3 wide back here. This is 17th, 18th, 19th, and 20th. There's Kenseth back in behind Tony Stewart.
These guys battle on these restarts. Their tires are the best that they're going to be. They're nice and fresh. That's the best grip that they have, and almost feels like you can do about anything. But you have to really be careful in doing this, and you can really get a run through the corner and off the corner down this front straightaway, and that's where they all start fanning out, getting 2 and 3 wide, using the apron.
There's Joe Nemechek up here in the 78 car. He won this race from the pole. Is the only driver ever to win from the pole here at Kansas back in 2004. He swept both races, the Nationwide and the Cup race. 84 car, A.J. Allmendinger's been having a great run. He was running in the top 6 for much until that pit stop a moment ago. Carl Edwards now making his way back after having come back on the pit road to pull that fender out.
Yeah, they're making life difficult for Carl today on pit road. He's had contact 2 different times with other cars, once under green flag condition and then under that last yellow flag. So he still has a good enough car to get himself up there, but I'm sure he would like for the rest of the day to go a little bit more smoothly than what this has so far. As we see battle here between Jeff Gordon and Jimmie Johnson. They're running 3rd and 4th. Johnson trying to go to the high side and make a pass on Jeff Gordon. Gordon's got a really good car today. We've noticed him making passes early on and here he is able to stay up in third. So even though he wasn't feeling well, he's doing a great job behind the wheel.
Dave?
Well, and DJ, can you explain just a little bit more how difficult it is to race like that? I remember one race at Darlington where you were even taking on a soda in the middle of the race just to try to calm your stomach.
Yeah, sometimes, you just have to, I guess, do what other athletes call playing herd, and, you're not going to feel. You're out here 36 weekends. Every weekend you get in, you're not going to feel your best, so you just have to get in there. And as I said earlier, sometimes you get in the race car, you forget about all of that stuff, and you start sweating, and it actually can be helpful. You're the doc over here. Tell me about that.
Well, I've treated a lot of race car drivers over the years before they climbed in a race car, and I can tell you the best medicine for an ailing race car driver is a good race car. That's what Jeff Gordon has got today.
Is that what you would prescribe for something like that?
Yeah, get that car dialed in and you'll feel a whole lot better. You'll forget all about that stomach.
Well, they're making a nice effort here today. You can see our first 4 cars are Chevrolets, 3 of the 4 cars being Hendrick Motorsports cars. So there's some things that they're able to figure out and make themselves more competitive. We see Juan Pablo Montoya and Michael Waltrip having a battle here.
This 42 car's made a lot of moves here. He's got himself up into the 14th spot after starting his back.
Michael Waltrip coming off that top 10 run a week ago. Second spot here, the 48 car going by Truex rather quickly. And here comes his teammate Jeff Gordon to take the 3rd spot away.
Yeah, looks like maybe Truex car just still isn't where he wants it to be. So he said instead of battling these guys, he just let them go for this point in time. Still got a lot of racing to go, but looks like Jimmie Johnson and Chad Canals have adjusted on that car again.
I think Jimmy's adjusted his line just a little bit too. You see how he's running this higher line? He was running right on the bottom earlier. Maybe he just felt like he needed to get up top and see how his car was going to work up there.
Guys, last week it was Roush Fenway 1, 2, 3. Right now it is Hendrick Motorsports 1, 2, 3. How about Casey Mears is the leader? Jimmie Johnson and Jeff Gordon is 3rd.
Tonight, a whole new journey begins for the Extreme Team. Celebrate a season of real heroes, starting with our biggest family ever. It's Extreme Makeover Home Edition, 2-hour season premiere tonight, 7 Eastern, 6 Central on ABC. Looking at the race for the lead as Jimmie Johnson in the 48 starts to run down his Hendrick Motorsports teammate Casey Mears in the 5. Not just run down, but run by.
Yeah, that car's really working good in the bottom of the racetracks. Jimmie Johnson's car is. But I tell you guys, it's a great run for Casey Mears. That car's working good. This could be the best run I've seen with Casey all year long.
Absolutely, and the cars look almost identical on the racetrack as they're running the lines going back and forth and back and forth. Good run for Casey Mears.
You want to take my line away? Fine, I'll go the other way. Yeah, there we go. Let's see if he can slip on by him here down into turn number 1.
He's having a tough time getting by him. Uh-oh, Kyle
45 cars around, caution's out. Second one of the race.
Caution's out, caution's out.
And a big break for Kyle Busch, who was the first car 1 lap down. That's going to get him back on the lead lap as we see the yellow for the 2nd time in the day here at lap number 94.
Ooh, that's a drive shaft. I mean, that's
yeah.
serious right there. That's
a piece of drive shaft broke right there.
Something really exploded in somebody's car. Looks like maybe Kyle Petty's.
Well,
He's the one spun around.
That is off the 66 car, we're told, Scott Riggs, who came to pit road.
That is absolutely incredible for that thing to shear off like that. That is a heavy-duty piece of equipment on a race car, and for it to be sheared in half like that is pretty extreme.
All right, let's have a quick thought on this. About let's see, the last pitted at lap 76. Going to be about 20 laps between pit stops. Everybody come in?
I think everybody's going to come in and get 4 tires. I really do. I mean, the track's really slick out there. It's probably what they'll do.
Yeah, I think everybody comes in and gets some tires and fuel and gets back out. This gives them an opportunity maybe to skip one more stop at the end of the race. We'll see.
And that is the 66 car from where that drive shaft came, being pushed back to the garage because he can't drive it there without that drive shaft. What happened to Kyle Petty?
Looks like Kyle coming in. Looks like he got on the apron, Rusty, just a little bit with his left side tires, upset the car, de-wedged it, and sent him for a ride.
Yeah, it looks like it's totally unrelated to the drive shaft incident right now. So we got 2 things going on the racetrack. Kyle Petty spins, and his 66 loses his drive shaft all in the same lap. So
amazing.
That's pretty wild, guys.
All right, Andy, you agree with these guys' assessment? Everybody comes in for 4 tires?
Oh, yeah, they'll be here. You can't keep these guys from getting tires here. They put about 2 laps on them. They're going to be wanting to come back and get new ones.
Yeah, and Brad Daugherty didn't know that term de-wedged until he started driving the car. The Andy Pete. I'm impressed, Big Brad. That's good, buddy.
And by the way, Scott Riggs went back. Right? Scott Riggs, who lost a part of that drive shaft, was up in 12th position, having a really good run when he had to go to the garage area. Casey Mears' bunch pretty pumped up about what he has done. Only the third time this year that Casey Mears has led a race. And here they come down pit road. Mears stays on the racetrack, and Jimmie Johnson, Jeff Gordon and company head down pit road. Dave Burns.
And it's Jamie Martin Truex Jr. just making his way into his pit box. He said the car was just starting to get good, of course. So just make a smaller pressure adjustment on the right front. 4 tires, that's it for the one. Dave?
Jeff Gordon said, my car just doesn't take off well. If I drive it hard, it really is way off. Loosen that's going in, tighten the center, loose off. They'll make an air pressure adjustment for Jeff. Shannon?
Jimmie Johnson says the grip is starting to come to him. He says it's better on entry. He just needs to get a little bit looser up on top of that racetrack. Hey, guys, get him off pit road.
Race off of pit road. Jeff Burton up 11 spots. Casey Mears stayed on the racetrack, Andy.
Yeah, that was a huge mistake, and you'll see just how bad it is when they go green.
They had pitted 18 laps ago. Mears stays out. The other leaders come in. We'll see how it shakes out after this message and a word from our ABC stations.
You know, it takes a lot of luck, okay? No matter how good you are or whatever, you got to have circumstances on your side. If you make the top 12, then you just hope you're the one that has the least trouble, and you got a pretty good chance to win the championship.
The King talks about luck, and he should know what it takes. He's won the championship 7 times, and the 18 car, Kyle Busch, is now back on the lead lap. He got a break, and at the beginning of the day, the 31 car, Jeff Burton, they had to change the tachometer on pit road prior to even rolling off. Had to slide back and start at the back. He has been able to climb up twice now. The 99 cars had issues on pit road. Watch Victor's come in and just cram him into a pit stall right in front of Tony Stewart. He had to back up and leave. And on the next stop, he gets tagged by the 22 car, bouncing off the 31. So there are some of the woes thus far for chasers. Remember, 7 of the chasers a year ago finished 29th or worse here, had all kinds of troubles.
Yeah, they're trying to create more problems for themselves than what just a normal race would create for them as we get ready for another wild restart here.
Again, Casey Mears did not pit. He had pitted on lap 77. Mark Martin, everyone else behind him, came in and got fresh tires some 18 laps later. Let's see how that bodes for Casey.
Yeah, the 8, the 31, and the 19, who are 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, all took on 2 tires there. So we'll see how that strategy plays out for them. See Jeff Burton trying to take that 2nd spot away from Mark Martin.
I think that those guys that took 2 tires are going to be the best thing to happen for Casey Mears here to get a little buffer from those guys that have 4 tires.
You see David Rudeman trying to stay up there and get a lap back. He is 1 lap down. He's trying to get that lap back from Casey Mears down on the inside.
Yeah, 29 cars on the lead lap, including Kyle Busch, who's now being shown in 27th, and Rudeman trying to get there.
See Jimmie Johnson down on the bottom trying to make his way back through these guys. He took on 4 tires. He's on the inside of Elliott Sadler, but has the 70 car right in front of him.
Tony Raines in the 70 there. Nowhere for Jimmie Johnson to go. Elliott Sadler with only those 2 right side tires, and Jeff Burton also with the 2 right sides hanging on. And now Jimmie will look to the high side.
Jeff Gordon there making a move to the outside of Bill Elliott. Greg Biffle right in front of him with another outstanding run going. Martin Truex trying to work his way back to the front. They've had a little bit of problems on the pit road.
There's the 29 car of Kevin Harvick, who has had 8 consecutive top 10 finishes, mired back there in heavy traffic.
He's in a lot of traffic, but Kevin is one of the best at getting through all of that because he just doesn't seem to get himself in too many bad spots.
Pretty good progression for Kevin all the way from the back into the top 10. There's also the 9 car back there, Casey Kane.
Oh, Kurt Busch gets real loose off the corner.
Jimmie Johnson has called Elliott Sadler for 4th position and will take the spot away.
Watch this 2 car right here. He's got a handful.
Yeah, you got that right. Right rear is wanting to kick out on him off the corner.
He was so good here a year ago. Kurt Busch led the most laps at Kansas Speedway in 2007. Way up across the racetrack.
That's Marcus Ambrose in the 47 car down there. Not a regular. Will be a regular in the Cup Series next year. But making one of the few starts for this year. Jamie McMurray there, who was a fast car last week at Dover until he encountered some problems. And his teammate right behind him, Matt Kenseth, trying to work back from that problem they had on pit road.
There's a 0-7 of Clint Boyer. A couple more chasers back there. And Tony Stewart as well. They are 14th and 15th.
Now, to be quite honest, I would have thought Tony might be a little stronger than this at the first of the race, but he knows this is a long race. It's still a long way to go, but looks like he's fighting his car a little bit. Shannon?
He really has been fighting this car all race long. They've made some major adjustments to this car. They took a rubber out of that right rear spring on their last pit stop. Track bar adjustment, 4 tires and fuel. Car's been loose on Tony Stewart, but hopefully these adjustments get this car where they need to be to move up to the front, guys. It's running 15th right now, all the way up from 41st.
Shannon, a couple of guys behind him have already had some contact on pit road. Brian Vickers and Carl Edwards were racing side by side for position. That was for 16th spot. Carl will get it.
Yeah, Carl was battling in there where they were 3 wide. We see Jimmie Johnson has moved around Jeff Burton and Mark Martin, go back into the 2nd spot and try to make his way back towards that 5 car.
Yeah, those are the 2 cars that took on 2 tires and held up pretty well there for a few laps. As a matter of fact, Casey Mears, his lap times were extremely fast on the start with those old tires, but I believe as he run here, he's going to regret not getting 4.
Yeah, you can see David Rudeman has moved out in front of Casey Mears, and that they might regret that decision not to take on tires. Dave?
Well, of course, as Jimmie Johnson gets ready to pass his teammate Mears now, Mears' comment on the radio after they all came down pit road, he goes, they all came down, huh? So he kind of knew what he had, but the car was actually not too bad. Tight to start, loose at the end of the run. And as we mentioned earlier, one way that this can work out is if he doesn't lose too many positions before everyone comes back down pit road next time.
Jimmie Johnson trying to go up around his teammate and will take the spot away. Johnson had led the first 16 laps of the race from the pole.
It's hard to not lead a lot of races and make those calls from the lead. You know, when you're doing it for the first time after not doing it for a while, it's easy to make a mistake and hard to, you know, you're usually kind of keying off the leaders and what they do. But when you are the leader, you have to make that decision yourself.
Yeah, that's right. And we won't say it's a mistake yet, you know, because they may be okay here. They have a good handling race car. And if they don't fall back too far here, then it won't bite them and everything will be fine. As we see a familiar sight, Greg Biffle making his way towards the front.
Yeah, what a surprise to see Greg Biffle now becoming a factor here, trying to move in on the 31 and the 8 car for 3rd and 4th spot.
Yeah, he's really been running that high line. You see him going the outside of Mark Martin. Wow. That was nice. He did Jeff Gordon. Mark ain't got his breath back yet, so Jeff's going around to the outside, and you see Elliott Sadler following him.
Yeah, this is no fluke to see that 19 car. Elliott Sadler was a contender for the pole here on Friday, and you guys almost got into a shoving match on who was going to win the pole down there. One of you thought Elliott might do it, might pull it off, and Jimmie Johnson and Montoya were pretty good. Elliott's got a good race car in this race.
Yeah, seems to be going well. 2 tires seem to be working okay. He didn't get off to the fastest start there on him, but his car seems to be working well now. Shannon, what's Elliott saying?
Well, you know, coming into this race, Elliott Sadler was very happy with his car. They did struggle in practice this weekend, but halfway through happy hour, they found something that really worked, and this team told me they really felt that they were going to be able to run up front today. And of course, as you see right now, Elliott Sadler is proving that that car can run up front.
Yeah, Elliott was saying that what they found yesterday, or I'm not saying what it was that they found, but they found something that they had found at Charlotte during the test on Tuesday and Wednesday. And so you went to those notes and said, this is what we were encountering there. The same thing's happening here. So let's try this change. We see David Rudeman now still out front of the leader, so he's actually on the lead lap. He's in 30th spot on the lead lap right now.
So following a disappointment at Dover after running in the top 10 in back-to-back races, now Rudeman having another good run, trying to hold on. 110 laps are in the books. You're watching ESPN on ABC.
Racing Spotlight on Talladega, Alabama next weekend. NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series runs Saturday, 3:30 Eastern, coverage on Speed Channel, and then our coverage of the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series. Amp Energy 500 from Talladega. Race 4 of the Chase, ABC, next Sunday at 1 Eastern Time. It is still Jimmie Johnson leading here at Kansas Speedway today. He's out in front of Jeff Burton by 2 1/3 seconds as we work the 116th of 267 laps. Got 30 cars on the lead lap. And Rusty, you've just been watching the lap times on this 48 car.
I have been, and there's times during in his last 10 or 15 laps where he's been so much faster than the second place car. It's unreal. Right now it's starting to stabilize a little bit. But guys, it's just amazing how this 48 car always seems to rise to the very top when it's time to get it done.
And somebody else we've been keeping an eye on, Dale Earnhardt. Caution's out.
Down. 3 and 4.
It appears Carl Edwards, Joey Logano has bounced off the wall. 96 car. Oh, yeah. There's a flat right side.
Just brush it. Or we need to work on it a little bit.
Joey's been having a tough time today.
But it set me up against it for a while.
So the rude rookie orientation of sliced bread continues in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series as he's roughed it up a little bit today here in Kansas. Have a look.
Looks like he got up a little bit high there, Rusty, and just lost a little bit of grip on those tires, got into the right side of the race car.
I'll tell you what, he's been doing a pretty good job the last couple of days, not getting this couple weeks actually, not getting his car in trouble, but he's been running around 40th all day long. Just really no speed there right now.
All right, couple situations here. David Ruderman was able to stay in front of Jimmie Johnson. He's on the lead lap. As the pace car picks up the leader, he'll come back around and rejoin the pack. And Patrick Carpentier will get the free pass here. First car 1 lap down. He will rejoin the lead group of cars as well when we go back racing. So it's kind of the same situation that we found themselves in before here, Doc, Andy, and DJ. About 20 laps of racing since a set of pit stops.
Yeah, this is a big break actually for Casey Mears. He only had dropped back to 4th spot, and I expect to see all these guys back down pit road after running about 20 laps.
Yeah, he had made his stop 40 laps ago, so a big break for that 5 car, DJ.
Yeah, big break for them, and things worked out well for him. One I'm impressed with, Jeff Burton, who's in 2nd spot. He took 2 tires that last time. He's got a pretty racy race car right now, so I look for him to put on 4 this time, but he's got himself in a great position.
This would actually be a good opportunity for some of these guys in the back of the pack to maybe try that same strategy.
Let's see who will hit Carl Edwards this time on pit road. Let's go down to Jamie.
Well, since the start of the race, Jeff Burton started 43rd. Everything since then has pretty much played into his hands. As you said, DJ started with a 2-tire change on the last stop. It worked for him. They gained so many positions, worked their way up to 2nd. They're just going to take 4 tires. Car is good. Dave?
Casey Mears was the restart leader with no fresh tires, only lost 3 positions. That worked out. Slight air pressure adjustment for his race car on this run. Shannon?
Greg Biffle says the car is so loose he can't even drive it. He's concerned about the tires. He says one set's too tight, the next is too loose. As you see, Jimmie Johnson in his pit stall as well. Free to loose off. They're going to make a wedge adjustment, 4 tires and fuel for Jimmie Johnson.
Looks like the 1 car probably only took 2 tires. Martin Truex gaining 6 spots. Clint Boyer up 10 positions. You see these guys going by. Jimmie Johnson losing a spot. Casey Mears, 4-tire change. He will drop 6 positions back to 10th off of pit road. Back at Kansas Speedway here, NASCAR Sprint Cup Series action. Caution number 3. The 20 car at the tail end of the longest line by virtue of being too fast entering pit road. These 2 cars a moment ago. Pit road seems to be an unusual place. Lots of action happening in the pits. And Vickers for the 2nd time a day involved, although it was none of his doing. Now watch what happens with Tony Stewart behind Vickers in the pits.
Well, the 20 teams finished their service. They're trying to wait on this 83 to go out. But they didn't wait for the guys to get out of the way.
I'm very happy about that. I think Tony was just going to follow him out.
You're not allowed to carry your gas man with you. And then watch these guys talking. They basically walked over and said, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Everything's
no
good.
harm, no foul. Shannon?
Well, we're down here with Greg Zipadelli, crew chief for Tony Stewart. Are you going to have a conversation with the crew chief of the 83 about what's been going down here at pit road?
No, I got enough issues in my own pit box. I don't need to go over there. They're just not. They're not working with us. We're not doing a good job getting in and out of the box. That's what happens. Just a little frustrating today. We qualified in the back. We don't have a really good spot. We need to all calm down, regroup, and
try to get it going. I mean, they could pull up to the white line because the 48 is ahead of them and allow us to get out of our box, kind of what we've been doing to the 16 car. It's just common courtesy, but I guess they're just not in the mood to work with us today. So we'll take a deep breath, we'll re-rack, and we'll salvage something here today.
All right, Doc.
So Brian Vickers, if you're scoring at home, he's had contact with the 99 and the 20 now with a crew member.
3, 2, 1.
Now these guys are still trying to diagnose an issue. It kind of comes and goes. We hear at times that it's fine and the car looks good, and then other times it seems to be still acting up, so they're trying to figure out what it is.
Kyle Busch did get back out of pit road, by the way, and he is on the lead lap. Martin Truex leading Jimmie Johnson, Clint Boyer, Greg Biffle, and Jeff Burton down the green flag.
All right, let's watch these restarts. They've been pretty wild so far. These guys don't take long to get 3 wide, Andy.
Yeah, Junior's doing his part. He jumped up on the outside of Elliott Sadler on that restart. He actually gained a spot.
Yeah, and Kevin Harvick coming by on the outside there.
Watching 3 wide down the back stretch. Let's check in on what the 18 was doing a moment ago in the pit. Shannon.
Well, right now the team is telling me that they found a piece of paper in the cowl area. They think that they may have been, may have been the issue all along with what Kyle Busch has been experiencing with this car.
That would make sense if you had a piece of paper in there covering that opening. It would actually just choke all the air off the engine at times, and that could well be what it is.
Jeff Gordon.
Oh, trouble.
Whoa, trouble in turn 2.
Get your hand up, get your hand up.
Kenseth sideways right in front of Mears and Edwards.
This is probably going to work out okay for Matt. I thought he might slide up in front of these guys, but he gets real lucky.
Well, what a job he did to keep the car down off of the groove in the racetrack, and Edwards and Mears right behind him able to get by.
Well, that could have been big right there because Matt was right in the middle. He was on the bottom of the racetrack, but generally when you're there powering up, that car will go up the racetrack.
Flat for sure, Matt. You have to talk to me.
Okay, I'll come in this time. Don't lose a lap, though. We have 0.
He gets a little bit of help from the 5 car, looks like.
You can see all these guys back out of the throttle. Everybody did a great job behind him, giving Matt a chance to get that car out of their way.
Matt's the one that did a great job there. Boy, I'm going to tell you, that was that was something else to save that race car.
Yeah, here's our 3 wide that we were talking about, and Casey Mears dives off on into the corner. Matt not knowing that he's there, and then there's contact. So Casey just didn't get slowed down quite enough.
What's he doing to try to save this car, DJ?
Praying.
And driving.
No, he is driving. You can see he's got the wheels turned to the right. He in the gas, just trying to get away from all of those cars that are coming towards him. A great job by Matt Kenseth there.
Prayer and throttle. That's the 2 things you got to work in your... Watch how close this is for Carl Edwards as well.
Middle's clear, still outside. Wrecking right here in front of you. Slow it down, slow it down. Stay low, stay low. Watch him come back across. Slow it right down. There you go. Get back up on the racetrack. Yellow is out.
This is our Allstate Good Hands move of the race. If Carl Edwards, our points leader, hangs on to win the championship, he may look back at this moment and say, man, I dodged a big-time bullet there.
Man, you got to give some credit to Matt Kenseth in that deal right there.
Yeah. All right, we'll let them share that Good Hands. There's 2 hands. We'll let them share. Each of them gets a hand. The Allstate Good Hands move of the race.
Yeah, we had a lot of candidates right there for that because all of those guys behind did a terrific job. But, and as you pointed out, Matt Kenseth did a great job.
Now let's talk to our in-race reporter, Carl Edwards, about that dodge there.
Carl, Dale Jarrett, ESPN, you got me?
Dale, I think he's on another channel right now, bud.
What's that, Bob?
Hey, Carl.
Yeah.
Hey, Carl, Dale Jarrett, you have me?
I think my button's sticking. I don't know who's trying to talk to me here.
Hey, Dale.
Carl, Dale Jarrett, ESPN, you have me?
I got you, Dale.
Hey, man, that was a close call, wasn't it?
Yeah, I wasn't on the radio. I was over trying to switch to Matt's channel to tell him he's a driving machine. That was pretty crazy.
Yeah, that was. He did a great job. You did a great job avoiding it. How's your race car?
Bob and the guys have been doing a great job with the Office Depot Fusion here. Been doing really well. It's getting better and better. There for a while I was nervous about it, but I'm having fun with it now. It seems to be real good.
Okay, good luck.
Hey, thanks, Dale.
Now, how about that? He was switching over to talk to Matt Kenseth and praise him for doing a heck of a job. Have you done that with your teammate before? You turn the radio over where you can talk to him?
Yeah, I don't know that I was praising them, but no, I'm just joking. Yeah, I mean, you have that opportunity with the 2 radios in there, and we always had it where we could switch back and forth. So, yeah, it's pretty cool that they have that opportunity. And great that Carl, here he is trying to battle, trying to win a championship, and he's going to switch over and tell Matt he did a great job there.
So he has no problem sharing that Good Hands Award with Matt.
Not at all. 4th caution flag of the day. We've been under caution now for a total of 14 laps. There have been 9 lead changes among 7 different drivers. Here are our chase contenders, and right now Jimmie Johnson atop the chase points, and he'll be restarting in 2nd position. You see Tony Stewart back in 27th. Kyle Busch on the lead lap is the final car on the lead lap in 31st, and Dale Earnhardt Jr. now moving up to 7th. And that car seems to be holding on. When he was talking about maybe having a good, strong second half of this race, and he may be in a position to do that.
Yeah, he's done. He's made a lot of headway in early parts of races before and looked really good. This race has not been all that in the beginning, but he's coming on now.
Yeah, but the second half of this race, we're not even halfway yet, is half as eventful as what we've had here. That could all change too. Dave?
Guys, Casey Mears took responsibility for that last little incident. Listen.
That was my fault. Expecting to check up that early. Come back on that. I don't think we hit him very hard.
And guys, later on, he also said he didn't hit anything, right? DJ, I think that's so he has the information for the discussion in the motor coach lot next week when he talks to Matt, right?
Yeah, definitely. And, you know, that was just more of a racing incident right there. You know, Casey was he was 3 wide trying to make the pass, and Matt didn't know that he was going to be in there that hard. So one of those things that happened, and fortunately it didn't put anybody in too bad of a situation other than making Matt go to the pits, get more tires, and put him in the back. We'll watch him try to come back to the front.
7 of the top 8 are chase contenders. The only one who is not up there is the leader, Martin Truex Jr. And Martin now has led 17 laps. He'd only led 26 laps the entire year thus far.
I think Jeff Burton saw that restart that the 88 car got last time. He's going to block that move.
He did a nice job there. Casey Mears, I think, watched Junior do that the last time. He went to the outside of Elliott Sadler and picked up that spot along with Kevin Harvick. See Kevin really sell that car down to the white line. It's been pretty impressive to watch these guys come back today too, starting back there, making their way towards the front into the top 10.
Mears able to go around Marcus Ambrose. That's the 8th and 9th position there. 9th is Harvick. Elliott Sadler up on the high side, running the high groove even early after the restart.
Yeah, he's on the high groove now. He should have been there on the restart.
Yeah, Elliott's car just doesn't look quite as good on the fresh tires, but it comes on later on. There's David Reagan, who I said looked like might have a pretty good race day. His teammate Carl Edwards right behind him as they try to go by Marcus Ambrose on the inside.
Stacking 3 wide. They opt not to make it 4 wide. Dead on the apron.
Here we go. They're getting started a little early for what they expect to do next week. Bump drafting a little bit.
One thing they can't do next week is go below that white line, though.
No, they'll have to get out of that habit.
They won't do it but once. Elliott Sadler now has moved into the 9th spot. Harvick is 10th. Reagan, Edwards, McMurray. That's 11th, 12th, and 13th. Back up front, Jimmie Johnson trying to move in now on the 1 car and reassume the lead.
Impressive. Martin Truex got 2 tires on that car and be able to hold Jimmie Johnson off to this point. Don't know how much longer he's going to be able to do that, but I think that it really shows up. Spin. Tony Stewart down through the grass here on the front stretch.
Another one of our chasers having issues. That splitter makes a nice little mower up front there.
Now we know how they got that grass mowed all pretty down through there.
Make sure we get the grill clean here when we come back around.
Well, he's talked about that he's been fighting that car, and obviously they don't have it fixed yet for him.
Kind of amazed that didn't tear the front of the car up, but it doesn't look like he got a lot of damage out of that. They're going to have to get in here, though, and get all that grass out of the grill area.
See what happened here.
Guess who? The 83 of Vickers.
Oh.
Made some pretty good contact with that left rear, Brian Vickers. Brian may have to look at that left rear tire.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, they had the altercation. Actually, it was one of Vickers' crew members that was on the hood of the 20 car, and now the 20 goes for a wild ride.
That shot right there shows you just how fast he's going sideways.
Over 160 miles an hour through the infield grass. And here's the incident we talked about a moment ago. Tony trying to leave, and the gas man for Vickers on the hood. They're trying to get him off. Crew member kicks the door of the 20. Not real happy about Tony coming through the edge of their pits. And the latest nudge.
I don't. Coming up out
what
of turn
What do you think? You think this is related?
I don't think so.
That's easy
but
for you to say.
never know. Yeah.
You can be the judge at home. We don't know. We'll find out. We'll get these guys out of the cars and find out. They're waiting for Tony to come back down pit road for a car wash and maybe a tire change. Back into this message and a word from our ABC station. Working lap 132 here at the Camping World RV 400 at Kansas Speedway. Moments ago, on pit road again, the 20 car trying to get in and get some of that grass and debris out of the front of the car, pull some of the fenders out.
That contact forced Brian Vickers to come back down pit road here to get these tires changed, just so they didn't have a problem with that left rear.
Rear NACA ducts there. We're not going anywhere. We got plenty of time. Get the rear NACA ducts. Get all the grass out of there. Wipe everything off the bottom of that nose.
Going over the wall. There's only 6 guys. No one else. We got a broken splitter brace. We may have to replace it.
Home Depot sells some pretty good mowers, but that may be the most expensive one they have right there. He did a good job with that splitter coming down and cutting the grass, and they made the repairs and gotten the grass away.
They've got down pit road and bagged it up now.
Yeah,
ready to
he could have
go.
definitely got that mowed quicker than any other thing that they sell, I'm pretty sure.
Pace car's off. We'll see if Martin Truex with those 2 tires should continue to hold off Jimmie Johnson.
Yeah, we got those 2 guys up front. Dale Jr. trying to make a move on the outside of Jeff Gordon there. Hadn't said too much about the Cats in 3rd place, and that's no one else but Greg Biffle.
Yeah, there's Junior trying to sneak on the outside of that 24. Not Jeff Gordon's first rodeo, though. He's not going to give him a lane on the outside.
Let's give a call to Clint Boyer, man. He's moved his way all the way in the top 5 after getting down a lap early.
Yeah, that's very impressive he could come back.
He's done a great job so far. Still holding off Jeff Gordon, barely holding him off. Man, he about lost that car.
Loose there, yeah. Almost into the 47. Jeff's going to take advantage of that. Move to the high side of him. Take that 4th spot away. Mike?
Well, you can see Clint Boyer racing Jeff Gordon real hard right now, and this car has been stout despite the fact that they got that early penalty. They've been running laps real close to the leader's time throughout the day. Boyer now to the inside of Gordon trying to make the pass now. You know, this does not surprise Gil Martin, I can assure you. He told me this morning that with the Chevy engine package and with all the torque it produces, it's really good at a track like this where the RPM span from, say, 6,000 to 9,000. Maybe, Andy, maybe you can elaborate on what he meant by that.
Well, Mike, what he really means is that these lap times fall way off because the tires wear out so quickly and the lap times fall off. That causes the RPMs to come way down. And that's when a torquey engine, like they're talking about, when it works down in those lower RPMs and pulls these cars out of the corners, can really pay off.
You know, when Clint Boyer had his problem and he came back out after going through his pass-through penalty, he came back out in front of Jimmie Johnson early in the race, and he was able to actually pull away. So we shouldn't be too surprised now that he's gotten himself in this position.
Look at the RPMs here on Clint Boyer's car.
You can see the RPMs getting down just above 7,100. Throttles back up, so that's what they were talking about as we see Jimmie Johnson trying to reassume this lead from Martin Truex. He will take that spot away.
What I like about this 48 car is you'll see it sometimes on the bottom and sometimes up top. I mean, this car's working good everywhere, all over the racetrack.
3rd time of day, Jimmie Johnson has led the race. Martin Truex, by the way, has led twice for 27 laps. Now, the driver who spun a moment ago and had the great save in that caution flag, Matt Kenseth. Back behind the 42 in the 9 car, Kenseth being shown in 20th position.
Yeah, it's calmed down a little bit for him. He's got past some cars that were racing really hard. See Michael Waltrip just in front of Montoya here, the 12 car, and haven't said much about him since he got into the wall earlier. Ryan Newman, and just behind him is Bobby Labonte.
Yeah, Newman's 21st. Bobby Labonte is 22nd back there driving the Dodge for the King Richard Petty. Whoa. 24 and 07, 4th position. And boy, you're trying to hold it on the bottom of the racetrack.
Whoa, look how loose that car is. Wow.
Yeah, that's what I was saying, whoa, about the 42 car just before we cut away to go to this shot and say, here, how about Carl Edwards now? He's moved himself up here. That's for 5th spot. So it's taken him a while, and I'm sure a little longer than he wanted to, but he's got himself into the top 5. A really good race car just behind Jeff Gordon. Dave, what's happening with the 24?
Well, these comments may make sense based on what you just saw. Jeff said, I don't understand it. This car is way too loose when I run high and way too tight when I run low. So he's just still trying to find the exact handle.
So we see Carl Edwards trying to take that 4th spot away from Jeff Gordon.
It's amazing how you can adjust the handling of the car by changing lanes on the racetrack as a driver.
Yeah, you move around, and what changes a little bit is the banking on this racetrack. And also you see the grooves in the track there that you have where the track has been put together, and you have tar in there, and sometimes you have to run through that, and that makes it more difficult, and that might be some of what Jeff is feeling.
Edwards, the big mover since the restart, has gained 7 spots. Vickers up 6. Brian Vickers, despite getting bounced off of a few times on and off pit road, he has got a very good race car. Edwards just marching right on by. It is Jimmie Johnson who was the pole sitter, who has now reassumed the lead here at Kansas Speedway. Martin Truex is second. There's Truex. Biffle is third. And cousin Carl Edwards on the march. Back with more in just a moment.
It's the ultimate, you know, being the champion. I mean, it's your ultimate goal and dream.
It's what every driver looks forward to and plans their lives around, basically. I mean, it is everything in our sport.
2 of the Hendrick Motorsports drivers competing in the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup as those drivers continue to run well today here at the Kansas Speedway. Jimmie Johnson leading, Jeff Gordon running 5th, Dale Earnhardt Jr. running in 6th. And you see where they are in the championship standings as they run just past halfway in today's event. Been watching Jeff Gordon's car, Rusty.
Yeah, I've been watching him a lot. He's complaining about the car being loose on the top of the track and tight on the bottom of the track. But one thing I've noticed, this car is really hitting the splitter really hard. A lot of smoke coming off this car almost every single corner. And as a driver, I've had that happen before, where you get up on top of the racetrack, the right rear falls down, gets loose. You get to the bottom of the track and it gets tight. It's just a classic case. You just don't have the spring set up right now.
And the splitter being that piece at the bottom end of the front fender of the car, if you will, that aerodynamic device. And as for Jimmie Johnson, back to the point.
Well, I tell you what, Jimmie Johnson's been on point all day. That race car is so stable. He's so smooth. He is extremely fast right now. We're coming up on the halfway point, and Jimmie Johnson is definitely the cat everyone has to catch.
Let's take a look back at some of the drivers that are running in the 10th spot and beyond in this race. David Reagan, remember how close he came to making the chase for the Sprint Cup. That last race at Richmond just had his troubles. Reagan having another solid run here today. He's running in 10th position. Jamie, what are they saying?
This kid has been so consistent as we've been watching. Alan, yesterday in the nationwide race, he finished 3rd. I talked to his crew chief this morning, Jimmy Fennig, and he told me that when David has a good run in the nationwide series at a track, he gets a lot of confidence, and that's what it's been all about today. They've set this car up just right. The car has been great. They made a small track bar adjustment, and that's all they've done all day. So he's been running top 10, doing a great job for David Reagan. Dave?
And behind him, the 5-car, Casey Mears. Remember, earlier in the day, not hurt too bad by a pit road decision to stay out. Lately, the car has been tight in traffic. That's been his biggest complaint. The rear end of the car up out of the track as well for Casey Mears. Mike?
You know, Dave, a week ago when the Roush Fenway team swept the top 3 positions, Jack Roush said something I thought was a little bit surprising. He said the 26 was probably our best car. Of course, that's frustrating for Jamie McMurray and crew chief Larry Carter because they didn't have the result to back it up. Felt like they had a pretty good car here today. They've just been struggling finding grip. Once they find that grip, they feel like they probably can move to the front. Shannon?
Elliott Sadler has had a 24th or worse finish the last 5 races, so he's really looking for a good run here today. Spent most of the day in the top 10. He has fallen out right now, but the story for Elliott Sadler today has been no rear grip. That team has been battling the car all day long, so still expect expect some changes coming down on this 19 to try to get him back in the top 10. Dave.
Shannon, yesterday during practice, the 11 team was frustrated with their race car. Denny was very frustrated with the handling. Crew chief Mike Ford was also frustrated that he couldn't get it right for his driver. But at one point during practice, he urged his team not to panic. I talked to Mike this morning about that. I said, Mike, is it hard to try to keep this all together? And he said, yeah, the hardest part about that is being another guy that wants to vent. I'm not happy with this race car either, but I couldn't do it. I had to hold this team on track. Shannon?
Dave, it's been a very busy day for Matt Kenseth and his 17 team. They had a missing lug nut on pit road early in the race. Of course, they spun out. They do not have any damage. They did come down pit road under that last caution flag. Just took 2 right side tires. They're desperately trying to just make up some track position and get that 17 into a position where he can get a top 10 follow up on his great finish last week in Dover.
David Gilliland started the day in 32nd position. They've just been tuning on it bit by bit all day long. Started out very loose. Crew chief Kelly Barraclough has had track bar and wedge adjustments to help David. Almost bangs into Allmendinger there going into the corner. But a good day so far for the 38 team. Shannon?
Dave, this is the first Kansas start for A.J. Allmendinger. The car is way loose for this 84 team. You know, A.J. Allmendinger is not going to be in this 84 car next season. And there's still speculation as to whether or not he'll finish out the season. The team told me before the race they will know on Tuesday and announce something on Tuesday about A.J. Allmendinger's future. Now, as far as Brian Vickers, his teammate in that 83 car, right now the car, according to Brian, is the best that it's been all race long. He says he just needs to get out of that traffic. Jamie.
And behind him, Casey Kane. They started 8th. Hasn't been a great day for this 9 team. Kenny Francis, crew chief, told me that they actually learned some things at the test at Charlotte this week that they're applying here. Now, you don't hear that from too many teams, but they're not in the chase, so they're in a mode of learning for next year. He's been fighting no rear grip, and that seems to be the story still. Mike?
Jamie, Ryan Newman has some respectable finishes at mile-and-a-half tracks this year, but he told me it's not because of performance. He says he was able to achieve that based on race strategy and flat-out ingenuity. That has to be the case again here today. They're running inside the top 20. He says the balance is good, but they're struggling trying to find grip. They've made some significant track bar adjustments, but they just have not gotten the car to his liking, Dave.
On the last round of pit stop, Mark Martin lost all of his track position. He was too fast exiting pit road, had to come back down for a penalty or start at the rear of the longest line. They came in this last time to make another adjustment, but that's where Mark lost all his track position. Had been running up in the top 10 most of the day.
All right, so there are updates on the 10th through 21st place cars as they run in this race with 112 laps to go. And while we were updating those cars, Carl Edwards continued his march back toward the front. This for 3rd place.
I tell you what, he's making some tracks right now. It looks like he's got the car handling well. We don't have a whole lot to 112 laps to go in this race. And if he doesn't have it fixed now, I don't know if he will. He's got to get it done. It's looking good now, though.
Great strategy today between Carl and Bob Osborne to get this race car up into this position. We know he's really good on the flat tracks. Carl Edwards is coming into play here. He's going to be a threat before the day is over.
Remember, this 99 car had some contact on pit road where he fell way back in the standings back at lap 76. And now he's worked his way back up to the 3rd position. Still chasing Jimmie Johnson, though. Johnson, trying for 3 straight championships, leads at Kansas.
It's believing in yourself when you're all you got. You don't turn back, you don't give in. Rising up to see the last man standing. Stakes are high, no backing down. Till the race is run in the winner crown.
At Kansas Speedway, just over 100 laps to go here in race number 3 in the NASCAR Sprint Cup chase for the championship. Jimmie Johnson, who was the pole sitter, has led the bulk of the laps. He's led 3 times for 53 laps. There is Jimmie out front. But the man on the move has been the guy from Columbia, Missouri. This is the closest track to his hometown. It's his home track. We're talking about Carl Edwards in the 99 car. Has now taken the 2nd spot away from Martin Truex Jr. The driver who won the first 2 chase events at New Hampshire and Dover, Greg Biffle, holding solidly back in 4th position. But what about the 20 car of Tony Stewart? We saw him make that wild slide down through the grass, and they are working there behind the wall to make what looks like some brackets there, Andy.
They're trying to fix this splitter on the front of the car. They're taking one apart and trying to find some pieces here that they can put together to fix this thing. You can see the splitter's kind of bent up on the ends, and it's down, see it in the center? It's dragging the racetrack. That's from that brace being broke when he went through that grass.
Let's go down to our Chevy cutaway car and let Tim Brewer show you exactly what we're trying to do here.
Thanks, Doc. What we got right here, this splitter is actually affixed through this turnbuckle, and it's affixed up to the bumper bar bolts. But right here, we've got the thing split in the center. But I think what they're trying to do right here, they're going to cut a section of it off and put it on top, because you can't lower the thing because it's going to drag it off. But what they're going to do is put a section right in here, put those screws down through the splitter, and hopefully it's going to strengthen the thing to where it won't push it down, suck it to the racetrack right here in the center without the use of this turnbuckle.
There goes the 99 car, by the way, by the 20 to put them a lap down. And there you see the guys are trying to make these brackets. Andy, can you do this under a regular pit stop?
Well, they'd have to have it under caution where they had some extra time. I mean, they've already lost a lap under green on the track, so they came down for the next green flag stop and tried to fix this. They would lose a lot more time. It might get so bad that Tony just sits there and says, hey, we need to fix this.
So both of the chasers, Tony Stewart and Kyle Busch, have now gone a lap down to Jimmie Johnson and Carl Edwards, who have gone by. Kyle Busch, remember, had a problem with sputtering engine and fuel issues, and now he says the car is very, very tight. Back with pit stops after this message and a word from our ABC stations. Back at Kansas Speedway, moving in on scheduled pit stops just a few laps away. There's the 48 car, Jimmie Johnson, who is our leader. There has been a little Chevy shoving up here between these two guys, the 3188, who went at it a little bit at Dover a week ago. Jeff Burton, the 31, Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the 88. These guys battling for 6th and 7th spot.
These guys are still going at it. See Jeff Burton, he gets a big run down the straightaway and drives underneath Dale Earnhardt Jr., but whoa, Jr. doesn't see him coming.
I guess a little loose there. And then watch as Junior goes to exit this corner. You see the back end kicking out a little bit there, but that's nothing. Watch this. Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Now he's going to check to see. He thinks he's got a flat tire. Plus he's getting some of that rubber off there that he got up on top. I think Junior's been running the high line. Jeff Burton wasn't expecting him to come down right there. He was going to go down to the inside. Great shot from our onboard cameras, though.
Yeah, Kevin Harvick now making the pass on Junior for position. Harvick takes a 7th spot away.
Junior just got extremely loose right now. You see him right there.
Got the wall right there.
Mike?
Yeah, as you can see from the video, you probably don't need for me to tell you this, but yeah, he's real loose in that second groove. But the problem is he's real tight on the bottom, so I guess this is the least of the two evils for him.
Not the first driver we've heard complain of that. That's exactly what Jeff Gordon said about his race car. So I don't know exactly what it is about this racetrack that's making these guys do it. Could be more the car and the tire combination that's making that scenario happen. But I'm sure if we heard from some others that they might be complaining of the same thing, because that's two of the best drivers out there that with their race cars, and they're complaining about basically the same type of situation.
We're going to see green flag pit stops here before too much longer.
And I'm sure these guys don't mind that at all, coming on to get these things adjusted and get some fresh rubber if they can hang on. There is Edwards moving in on the 48 of Jimmie Johnson.
Whoa. He's loose too, boy.
Yeah. And you see Scott Riggs right there, who just came back out on the racetrack. That means we have all 43 cars out there. Nobody's falling out of this race.
Carl Edwards erased a 4-second deficit to run down the leader. Carl has got one quick Ford.
Yeah, he's had pit road problems today as far as other cars getting into him. He's been at the back of the pack a number of times, and here he is battling to take the lead away from Jimmie Johnson.
Edwards has not led a single lap today. Remember, he came in as the...
Anywhere near you, you're right on his cage.
Edwards came in as the points leader and now is being shown some 15 points behind Jimmie Johnson, but now he will retake the lead, or try to take the lead. Johnson thus far has led the most laps 3 times for 67 total laps.
And Carl decided to go to the high side to try to make this pass, and does make it now as he assumes the lead. See, he's still having some difficulty getting around as we start green flag pit stops. We see Clint Boyer on the pit road. Casey Mears. Dave?
Casey Mears gives up the 12th position. He said the back end was out of the track. We reported that before. It'll be an air pressure adjustment for this Hendrick Motorsports team. Again, Casey leaving at the end of the year, building for next year on everything they do here. Mike?
Last time down pit road, Clint Boyer just took right sides. It's a 4-tire change in Sunoco race fuel this time around and an air pressure adjustment, Shannon.
Jimmie Johnson takes a break from the on-track action to bring his car down pit road. The guys are on the wall. He says he's rolling the bottom and he's tight in the center of the turns. It's going to be 4 tires for this 48 team. You see that wrench in the back window going there, making a chassis adjustment for Jimmie Johnson. Dave.
Jeff Gordon had been running in the 5th position before this cycle of pit stops. They make a chassis adjustment, change 4 tires for Jeff. Mark Martin is on pit road as well. He'll get an air and wedge adjustment on the 8 car for Martin. Mike.
After a series of chassis adjustments and air pressure adjustments, Carl Edwards says his car has come to life. This is the best it has been all day long. He comes in for his stop, and believe me, pit road has been an adventure for the 99 today as they go for a 4-tire change here and also a chassis adjustment on the left side. Looking for a clean out. That has been the problem most of the time for Carl Edwards as they continue working here on the left side. They drop off the jack. He's away and without incident.
Greg Biffle really struggling with this car. One run it's loose, the next run it's tight. Tight right now. They're going to make a wedge adjustment, 4 tires for that 16 machine.
Leaders pit stop. Brian Vickers assumes the lead by everyone else coming on the pit road. Edwards has been on and off, and now Vickers will head down. There's the 11 car. Denny Hamlin coming in. Kenseth coming out, I should say. There's Vickers coming on the pit road. He's had a good car despite some contact on pit road and on the racetrack. Headed to you, Shannon.
The car's still good for Brian Vickers. You heard me tell you earlier that this was the best it's been all day. He's going to come down pit road. He says he just needs some track position. You saw that tear off come off the front window as these guys go around to the left side. 4 tires for Brian Vickers and Sunoco Fuel.
There's our leader, David Rudman, on the left side of your screen, coming into the pits now.
Juan Pablo Montoya coming down. He's had a very good run after having to start back in 42nd position. Rudiman's pit. Jamie.
And David Rudiman had to start in the back of the field because he changed a motor after practice yesterday. They lost it in the first practice. So far, so good. 4 tires and Sunoco Fuel for the 44. David Rudiman, guys, he's down our way 14 flat.
Patrick Carpentier is the leader in the 10 car, one of the Gillette Evernham Dodges, and there's a 28 of Travis Quapolo just came off a pit road with the fresh tires going by. Pit stops, it's been very eventful on pit road today, so why don't we take you up close and personal. Let's go over the wall with the rear tire changer for Kyle Petty, DJ Cox.
These green flag stops mean so much because you can lose so much time so quick. 2, 3, 4, 5. Get tired.
You're watching ESPN on ABC. ESPN's coverage of the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series on ABC. Brought to you by Pepsi. Wake up, people. Try Diet Pepsi Max. Maximum taste, maximum energy, 0 calories.
Closing in on the final 100 miles of today's NASCAR Sprint Cup Series race at the Kansas Speedway, Jimmie Johnson has come out with the lead after an exchange of green flag pit stops, up by 1 4/10 seconds on Carl Edwards. Remember, Edwards had run down Johnson just before the stops and was making a move for the lead on him. Actually made the move for the lead on him before the pit stop. And they went down pit road and they come off, and now Jimmie's back out in front again. DJ, how does that happen?
Well, Alan, there's a couple of reasons. At total time on pit road, there was just about 1 2 2/10. When they came off of pit road then and got back up to speed, Jimmie Johnson was about 2 seconds ahead of him. So they made up 1 second on that time on pit road. But what that tells me, Jimmie Johnson did a great job. So how do you accent a nice pit work by your crew? You get on the pit road a little faster and exiting, and that's how he made up a big difference. Took what was a deficit and turned it into a positive and made a gain out of it.
66 cars, Scott Briggs back on the racetrack. He actually went to the garage area for 30 laps after he had that drive shaft issue that came off and brought out the caution flag. 48 car going by Travis Quapple. Jimmie Johnson has led the most laps in the last 2 years. A driver who has led the most laps in this race at Kansas has had trouble late in the race and has not even had a top 10 finish.
Well, that doesn't bode well for the lap leaders, but I still take it. I'll take my car out front all day and take my chances on that little stab.
Chances. See Paul Menard on pit road. He's kind of off cycle. He'd been on pit road on the last caution when the other guys. You see on the left side there, battle for the lead. Carl Edwards has raced that deficit. That's what happened through the pit stop cycle, where he ended up about 2 seconds behind. Now he's trying to take the lead back away from Jimmie Johnson. Carl has got an awfully fast race car right now, guys.
Juan Pablo Montoya wiggling up there in front of Jimmie Johnson. He got his car sideways coming off the corner a moment ago, and it's like Jimmie tried to pull down from behind him. See if the 42 bobbles again in the corner.
Montoya's running 26th, the last car on the lead lap. He's going to fight these guys as hard as he can.
Yeah, he's not going away easily, and that allows Carl Edwards to get back up there to Jimmie Johnson.
Carl said, I'll split the difference to go between you.
Now Carl's going to try to keep that high side going and that momentum off the second corner to try to take the lead away. Not going to quite get there this lap from Jimmie Johnson.
Remember, coming in, Carl Edwards had a 10-point advantage over Jimmie Johnson. Right now it is the other way around as Edwards tries to take the lead away. Edwards has led only 2 laps today. Coming out of turn 4, it'll be Johnson who will lead that time by as well. Kyle Busch, we talked about he had to get busy if he was going to get back in this championship hunt, coming in 12th in the points today, and he's being shown right now 33rd lap down, beginning a day with the issues in the motor sputtering, and just not the kind of day he wanted to have.
No, it wasn't, but that's close racing right there. That's Carl Edwards on board camera that we're watching. Could see Jimmie Johnson get into the back of him a little bit. Not sure he appreciated Carl pulling right up in front of him.
And right there in your screen, you saw Tony Stewart coming off the racetrack now, coming down pit road.
They were going to try to fix that splitter on the front. Remember, they had the issues, and you see the front of it's been eaten away by the asphalt.
It just with that brace gone, it just rubbed the racetrack till it finally just rubbed away. They're going to have to do something because Tony can't even keep up.
Tony, who won this race a couple of years ago on great fuel mileage.
They've actually lost more than one brace. There's 2 or 3 braces that are gone right there. They can only have so many people over the wall, and they've got to get these tires changed first, and then they can come over there and start working on the splitter. You can't just bring everybody across the wall. NASCAR has a rule on how many can be there.
Get over the wall, let's go.
This is painfully long, you know, when you're trying to fix something under green. They just had to do this, though, because the car was extremely slow.
Yeah, and you could hear Tony's cut the car off because he'll sit there and run hot and then start pumping all the water out of it. Shannon?
Yeah, this team has been so busy during this green flag run assembling that splitter. They've been down here with parts and pieces, just putting it together, anticipating, trying to get it ready for when this pit stop happened. As you can see, they're working on that splitter right now for Tony Stewart. No other word over the radio about the car condition, so we'll listen in on this next run and let you know how this car is handling for Tony Stewart.
You can prepare a lot behind the wall. You can get all this stuff ready, but it still takes a lot of time to get this installed on the car. They have to adjust these braces. First, they've got to hook them up. Then they've got to get them adjusted correctly. So this is going to take quite a long time.
Left side of your screen, battle for 4th position. Jeff Gordon trying to get it away from the one of Martin Truex.
Hey, Andy, if I'm not mistaken, he broke the splitter bracket during the ride across the grass. But how about that crew member? You think he might have stepped on that thing when he got up on the middle of that hood?
He could have, Tim, but boy, they were sure mowing a lot of grass through the infield, and actually pulled it down and made it rub the racetrack too. So.
Yeah, that's a pretty good sized boy stepping on the thing. I'd say about 250 pounds. I'd say that's what really broke the thing and really magnified the situation because, you know, as thick as that thing is, it's pretty solid across there unless you got a person standing on it.
Well, this is certainly taking their championship hopes and taking a hit right now with all of this work going on. They were really hoping to get a caution to be making these type of repairs, but they couldn't wait any longer. Just nothing to do but fix it now.
Yeah, Tony Stewart came in here 7th in the point standings, and right now he has fallen back to 11th. So the 3 Joe Gibbs cars right now in the chase are Denny Hamlin, Tony Stewart, and Kyle Busch, 10th, 11th, and 12th. Not bad, though, for the Roush Fenway boys. There's the leader, Carl Edwards. Greg Biffle, who has won back-to-back in the first 2 events for the NASCAR Sprint Cup chase. Jimmie Johnson, the reigning champion, in second spot, and Carl Edwards, currently our leader.
All you got, you don't turn back, don't give in. Rising up.
68 laps to go in stop number 3 here for the NASCAR Sprint Cup chase for the championship. Kansas Speedway. Carl Edwards from Columbia, Missouri, just about 125 miles away. Hits home racetrack, trying to get his first win here in Sprint Cup competition. And trying to hold on to that points lead. Now has a 20-point lead at the race we're in right now over Jimmie Johnson in second. Greg Biffle is third. Jeff Gordon, Jeff Burton fourth and fifth. And back in the 6th spot, a car that's been pretty good all day long, Martin Truex Jr., apparently not real good right now. There's the 1 car. Let's go down to Jamie.
Well, Doc, he started off great, led laps early, but the car's gotten worse. It's gotten really loose, and this is what he said on the radio moments ago.
God, this thing is bad, bad, bad. 10-4, hang in there, man. Oh, man. I do. Hang on to it. Want to pit, we'll pit. Just hang on to it, man. I'm sorry. How to fix the damn thing? All right, man. Shut up and drive. Concentrate. We'll fix it.
Well, I guess that's one way to handle your driver. That's Kevin Bono Mannion, his crew chief, just reminding him, just do your job. I'll do mine. And he reminded him they have 1 more stop. How about it, Andy? Did that ever work for you to keep your driver straight?
Sometimes, Jamie, you just got to put those drivers in their place.
Yeah. What would you say if someone told you that in the car?
Well, we wouldn't be able to play it. First off, we wouldn't have heard that radio conversation coming back to what I'd have had to say probably. But, yeah, as you sit up there on that box with your Coca-Cola drinking with your butt sitting there, probably got a fan on you, and the driver's in there working his tail off. I understand trying to keep your driver up, but you don't say things like that. Not over the radio. Yeah, you can talk about that later on, but everybody's got their different ways. I just wouldn't put up with that very long.
That wouldn't have been a motivating statement to you.
I've wanted to say that a few times. I don't know if I ever did.
Yeah. Here's our leader, Carl Edwards. He had a close call a while ago. Just as we were coming back from break, he was passing, put a lap on David Rudiman here. Watch this. David gets a little bit loose. Ooh. Good thing Carl's car is handling good.
He got through there quickly.
Trying to thread the needle.
See Rudiman get really loose there. I'll guarantee you.
Clear.
Carl talked about last week whenever Carpentier spun out in front of him and he saw his whole season go in front of his eyes. He could envision that happening there again as he's leading the race right now.
Rudiman did a good job right there, really, to keep that thing at least a lane off the wall so Carl had somewhere to go.
Let's update Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the 88 car. He's currently being shown in 10th position, but David Reagan, who was a Dale Jarrett sleeper to possibly win it today, is moving in on it. Mike?
Well, Doc, as we noted not too long ago, before that round of pit stops, Dale Earnhardt Jr. real loose in that second groove. So when they came down, they made a slight track bar adjustment, really just trying to tighten him up. But Dale Jr. not happy at all with that adjustment, saying the car is, quote, terrible. Very unhappy. They still have some work to do, but the laps are winding down.
We've seen that movie before with this team where they've run pretty good in the beginning of the race, but here we are at the end, and they're going the wrong way.
They're really struggling right now. Hey, let's go back a second to Martin Truex, because we got Junior here. We've heard them talk about they need more information from him. Well, here's a driver trying to give some information, just pleading to help him a little bit, and then you come off with a comment about shut up and drive.
Hey, I didn't say
you do that. I know you didn't. I shouldn't be busting on you.
Wasn't that a Rihanna song or something?
I think we struck a nerve with Dale on that driver.
I haven't calmed down yet. I'll be quite honest.
Ice cubes to Jarrett. Here we go. Here's Kevin Harvick making a move in on the struggling Martin Truex, and that would be for position for 7th spot.
Another good solid performance by this 29 team, Kevin Harvick. Man, you got to hand it to them. They're not putting themselves in position to win, other than the fact that you keep running in the top 10, you'll eventually get that thing right, and then you will put yourself in that position.
And here we are with 60 laps to go, and he's going the right way. He's going forward.
Yeah.
8 consecutive top 10 finishes now for Kevin Harvick. The car he's driving, by the way, has had 3 top 5s. So now trying to move inside of the 1 car to take away that 7th spot. And then he would set his sights on his teammate, the 07 Clint Boyer, who's in 6th position. Still got one more pit stop to make here, and we are less than 60 laps away from the checkered flag at Kansas Speedway. Back after this message and a word from our ABC stations.
It's been an eventful day here at Kansas for the 12 drivers chasing the championship. Before the race even got started, Jeff Burton's team had to replace the tachometer on his car. He managed to get away without any real difficulties, and Burton's running in the top 5.
Well, you see Clint Boyer, he had problems early, made a jump to restart, had to make a pass-through penalty, almost got down a lap, got the lap back. He's back in hunt right now, and he's running 6, running great.
Carl Edwards got tangled up on pit road.
I tell you, I'm going to walk out there and pop Carl on the head myself. Everyone else at the racetrack has hit him today. He has been hit at every angle. He had 2 altercations on pit road. He's had a difficult time there, but that race car is flying on the racetrack.
Yeah, he's leading now. Matt Kenseth was the leader earlier in the race. Then after a restart, got nipped in the back bumper by Casey Mears. Watch the job Matt does, driving that car through the slide. Doesn't hit anything. Kenseth has come back into the top 10 on the racetrack. 2 guys not having so good a time. Kyle Busch.
Kyle Busch just having a miserable day today, just having all kind of engine problems. He's well off the pace right now. He's a lap down. He's in 32nd position, and it looks like all 3 of the Joe Gibbs cars are way out of the hunt right now for the chase for the title.
Tony Stewart. Yeah, he's had a couple altercations with Brian Vickers and got turned sideways there, went through the grass. Right here, as we see him sliding through the infield there, tore up the braces on the front of that splitter, and it's caused him some very, very difficult times today. He's struggling.
Tony Stewart now 6 laps down in 41st place. So despite all of those incidents and things that you've seen, look at where the championship chasers are running for the most part. Almost all of them in the top 10. Denny Hamlin 15th, Dale Earnhardt Jr. 11th, but then you've got Stewart and Kyle Busch. It's been a strong day and a strong rally for Carl Edwards, Mike.
Yeah, it certainly has, and Carl Edwards looking for his 7th victory of the season, and right now he's pretty much in cruise control. No one running with him up front. Right before this last run, though, he said that's the best the car has been since the last pit stop where they made a wedge adjustment on the left side. Said it got a little bit loose. It's improved as the run has gone on, but not as good as it was the last run. Shannon?
Really no major problems for Jimmie Johnson in that 48 today. The car does like the clean air, as most of the cars on the track. I spoke with Chad Knaus. He told me he felt last week at Dover was going to be the weak link in this chase for the 48 team. He said if we could top 5 them to death, I would be surprised if we did not win this championship. Now, for Greg Biffle running 3rd right now, it has been a struggle for this team all weekend. His crew chief, Greg Irwin, told me in practice they weren't very good, so they punted. There's a caution on the track, guys.
Caution number 6 on the day. With less than 50 laps to go, and these guys will now be able to make a final pit stop under the yellow flag.
28 car looked like he got in the fence a little bit off of turn 2.
Travis Quapple, damage on the right side of his Ford.
Yeah, he went straight up into the wall. I didn't know if he hit it or not, but he was obviously he has.
Yeah, and people might say, well, why don't we throw a caution just because somebody got in the fence? These guys are running right against the wall, so you can't take a chance. Something's usually going to come off of these cars whenever you get into the fence. You see him right in front of Michael Waltrip here. Does slide up and get into the wall. And again, it doesn't take much for something to come off and get onto the racetrack, and that's where a lot of these guys are racing.
He came off that wall real slow, too, and it looked like a lot of guys might be getting into the back of him, so see a lot of guys coming right here behind him.
Yeah, rode the wall all the way around.
Bobby Labonte just snuck by right there.
This caution a break for Brian Vickers, who will get the free pass. He was in 17th spot. He will get back on the lead lap now. And the leaders who wanted to come on and make this final stop under the yellow. Top 7 drivers are chasers. 9 of the top 11 are in the chase.
You see the 99 car coming. That 84 car of A.J. Allmendinger is in front of him in the pit stall, and he'll be coming in as Carl's ready to leave here, possibly. We need to watch for that. Dave?
Jeff Gordon is in his car loose in and off. They didn't want to take the time for one of the tire changers to pull a spring rubber from the left rear. So Jamie Frady, the catch can man, is going to put around a wedge in the right rear to try to tighten this car up. Mike?
As noted, Carl Edwards a little bit loose, but Bob Osborne calling for no changes. Just 4 tires and fuel. Feels like this car's still pretty good. Good enough to pick up the victory. Shannon?
Greg Biffle's going to take a rubber out of that left rear spring. Still struggling with this car. 4 tires and fuel. And down pit road, Jimmie Johnson, 4 tires, fuel adjustments for this
Johnson will win the battle off of pit road and gain a spot. Jeff Gordon up 1, as does Jeff Burton. Biffle back 2. They remember they took that rubber, as you heard Shannon say, out of the left rear. And Kenza +2. Now, you were talking about maybe getting blocked in there for the 99 car a moment ago.
Yeah, they did a great job here, and it timed out just right because he's in his stall. He's got it aimed out a little bit.
Wait on me. Go, 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 go. All the way, all the way, all the way, all the way.
84 got in.
The grass, buddy.
And,
yeah,
he got out clean.
But it was just enough that Carl had to turn those wheels and couldn't give it going straight out, and that's what allowed Jimmie Johnson to beat him out of the pits.
That and a good pit stop by the fourth.
Yeah.
Thinking like a crew chief, knowing that could possibly happen, warning your driver. Back with a restart here in just a moment. Wednesday, get a touch of mystery, romance, adventure with a new season of Pushing Daisies, a modern-day fairy tale unlike anything else on television. See what's growing on ABC's Pushing Daisies season premiere Wednesday, 8 o'clock Eastern, 7 Central on ABC. 07 car for the second time today has had an issue. Clint Boyer was too fast on entry and exit of pit road just a moment ago on that stop. He jumped the start at the very beginning of the race and he was black flagged for a pass-through penalty. See the cars going by him. And here now that the final pit stop, green for the final stop has been made, where the chasers will be restarting. Jimmie Johnson back up front. See Edwards there. Boyer was to restart back in 10th spot.
How about Jeff Gordon starting 3rd now on this restart?
Yeah. Man was not feeling well, hasn't been feeling well all weekend. Wasn't even sure he was going to be able to finish this race, but a great job by Jeff Gordon today, hanging in there up in 3rd position right now.
No doubt about it. And Matt Kenza, folks, restarted back in 29th after that spin back on lap 122, is now battled all the way back up to 6th position after that latest round of pit stops.
He's going to start right behind Greg Biffle, and we know which way he's going to be going.
That's right. I hope everybody got what they wanted to drink at home and watch this, because this is going to be an exciting 45 laps when we get this green flag.
Hope it's like it was at Dover the last 45 laps. A Sunday ago. Here we go.
Oh, that was pushing Jimmie Johnson on the start. He's ready to go, wasn't he?
Yeah, he's ready to go. He's ready to go to work.
Yeah, here's Jeff Gordon right in behind Carl. See what he can do with that 99 car. Can't quite hang on as Carl just did.
Whoa, Biffle gets real loose in front of Matt Kenza.
And Junior way up against the wall, too, back there.
Saw the 9 car down there a moment ago in front of Jeff Gordon. Casey Kane is a lap down. Now Gordon able to get by the lap car of Kane. See what stacked up the restart here a moment ago.
Whoa, it looks like the 1 car of Martin Truex Jr. missed his gear.
Funny, they're checking up, checking up, checking up. Stay high, stay high, stay high. 2 inside, 2 inside, still 2 inside, 2 inside.
07 of Clint Boyer dropped back a couple of spots on that restart there. And now seems to be trying to move inside of the lap car of Scott Briggs.
Yeah, and when he had to go to the back, he had to start the ends on the tail end of the longest line. So the longest line was actually the one that of the lap down cars. So it's not like he could start right up in literally in 17th spot. He had to be back behind all of those guys that were a lap down.
17 car and 29 battling for a spot. Kenseth wants to take the 6th spot away from Harvick.
Oh, got a spin.
And
got one spinning off of 4.
We saw the big one here a year ago, and there were a handful of chasers involved, and it cost them dearly.
All clear. 6 jacked you up right there.
Denny Hamlin drives down pit road to miss all this.
Yeah, you are allowed to do that, and what NASCAR just asks you to reduce your speed as you're going down. They're going to put him back in the spot where he would have been. He's not going to lose that, but if you have to make that move, they just ask that you slow down. So Michael Waltrip smoking. He's got some damage. Looked like on the left front there.
Did a nice job to get that car out of harm's way. Contact.
Yeah, David Reagan looks like got it just a little bit into the back of Michael Waltrip, and that sent him up into the 77 of Sam Hornish. Could have been a lot worse than what that was.
We had a big wreck here last year. Michael Waltrip was actually in the middle of all that, too. This could have been big.
That's just what happens. These restarts are really tight. Again, these guys have on fresh tires. Everybody's racing for their positions here. We've got just over 40 laps to go. David Reagan was just in a little bit more of a hurry than what Michael Waltrip could get going.
Watch Bill Elliott just get by the 21 car. There goes Elliott, just got by.
Boy, how about Hamlin driving down pit road?
Yeah, it's a nice move.
55, Michael Waltrip on pit road. By the way, this caution flag gives the 12 car the free pass. Ryan Newman gets back on the lead lap.
It'll backstretch.
Under caution for the 7th time a day. Just 41 laps to go here at Kansas. Back in just a moment. Forty laps to go here in the Camping World RV 400 under caution for the 7th time a day. The incident, Michael Waltrip spin, and of course Denny Hamlin was able to go down pit road, and as Michael was coming across, a great move by the 21 car of Bill Elliott to avoid the spinning car of Michael Waltrip. There's the 11 car. Let's watch what happened on his maneuver for the miss and listen in to his spotter.
Up in front of you, go down pit road. Go down pit road. Just slow up, slow up, slow up, slow up. Just keep slowing up. We'll be fine. They'll put us back in our spot.
So that's the rule they allow you. They do allow you to get back in your position if you have to use pit road. By the way, while we were away a moment ago, some of the cars coming on the pit road, the 11th and 12th place cars, Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Jamie McMurray in for a pit stop. Brian Vickers in 16th and Clint Boyer back in 17th came on pit road to make a tire change as well. These cars, the last cars on the lead lap, so they had nothing to lose.
Okay, coming to green this time.
I think these cautions probably benefit Jimmie Johnson a little bit more. It looks like Carl Edwards' car is a little bit better on the longer run.
Yeah, the more they can shorten this run up, the better it's going to be for Jimmy. He got a good jump. Having this lead is a big deal right now.
Probably doesn't hurt an ailing Jeff Gordon either to be able to take a breather every now and then. The pace car getting ready to pull away. Let's listen into the spotters as we go full throttle.
All right, boss. Pace car stand. Be ready. Be ready. Ready. Be ready. Be ready. Green flag. Green flag. Green flag. You're clear. Still there. Still inside. Clear. Clear low. Clear. Inside. 2 lappers on the bottom. 16 hanging back. You have 24. Clear. Clear. After the 17, there's a 2-car length gap. 3. You in the 48.
Something happened here to the 1 car.
16 up top, coming outside. Outside, outside. Clear up behind him, all clear.
One car, Martin Truex, comes way up across the racetrack in turn 2. He is now slowed down and headed down pit road to his pits.
Yeah, that looks like
the right side window.
Marcus Ambrose also in the wall, had some contact over there with his Ford.
And I believe on the 1 car, there's something, ignition or something there. That car wasn't running when he came to pit road. You can see them working inside. Maybe a transmission. Jamie?
It's a broken shifter, DJ. They just told him to watch his RPMs for pit road speed. He goes, man, I don't have a shifter. I don't know what my speed is. So you see the crew members crawling in there to see if they can repair that before the end of the race. Tough break for Martin Truex, guys. Leading laps early, had a great car.
Yeah, it's unfortunate for him, and good thing was he didn't have far to go on pit road, but they'll probably have to put some vice grips on that shifter, what's left there, so that he can shift gears. Had to do that before. That's not a lot of fun, but that's unfortunate for this car.
Former Roush Fenway teammates, Jeff Burton and Matt Kenseth, who are great friends off the racetrack, battling for position right now. Kenseth in 5th spot.
Yeah, Matt just took that 5th spot away from Jeff Burton.
I don't think we can count him out of this thing yet. Fast race car. He's let the leaders get a little bit away from him. He is about a little under 3 seconds behind these guys.
I'd say another caution is going to put this 17 back in the picture.
We were talking to these guys about how tough it is in this chase, and we asked Jeff Burton. He commented about how tight the field really is.
If you watch one of these races, you know, the top 3 or 4 cars are head and shoulders above the rest. And then the 5th to 15th, 20th, they run the same speed. And it's crazy how competitive it is. Once you have the restart and everything gets spread out, we've been a half of a tenth off of the best cars, but we've only been a half tenth better than the worst cars. That's how competitive it is.
That pretty much sums it up, and it is that competitive and that tight. I mean, you see 3 or 4 guys up front, and everyone else is just one in one big cluster.
Well, that's exactly what NASCAR wanted when they created this new car, was try to even this competition up, and they've done a great job with it. These cars do all run about the same speed, and it comes down to who can actually sit up on that wheel and make those pit stops and make those decisions of who's going to be up front.
I think the only thing that it could have possibly done was separate these bigger teams from the teams that have fewer resources, but that's always been the case. It just doesn't seem like these other guys have too many chances to win. As we see this battle continue right here, Jeff Burton's gone back to the inside of Matt Kenseth, trying to take that spot back away. Matt ran up on the 8 and the 9 cars here and couldn't get by them, and that allowed Jeff Burton to try to get back to him.
Yeah, Martin and Kane are actually being shown a lap down. Mark Martin and they're 18th and 19th, but the 31 and 17 are on the lead lap. Check in more on Jeff Burton. Whoa, Jamie.
Well, you guys are talking about the COT. I talked to Scott Miller, crew chief for Jeff Burton this morning. He said this new car, it's been an adventure. We're just struggling to really find speed. We feel like we can contend for the championship, but we can't exactly check out and dominate. They're still, he says, within striking distance of finding speed, guys.
I think when you talk to drivers about what do they need, and the majority of them tell you, I don't think anybody's really looking for the car to drive good, because I think they know realistically that's not going to happen, but they want a little bit more speed. And I know that's what the sport is about, and it may sound kind of trivial, but that's what they're looking for. They can make their cars drive reasonable, but they just can't get that extra speed that they need to be right up at the front of this pack.
At the end of the year, NASCAR, there's been some rumblings they may make some adjustments on these cars for 2009. What do you think they should do to help these cars to drive better and be more competitive?
Well, they could actually raise that front splitter up a little bit. That would help a lot of guys deal with some of the problems that they have and give this car a little more downforce, and maybe just a little bit more rear wing, some more rear downforce, just to kind of get them glued into the racetrack. But what you got now is what you've got, and you've got to make the most of it.
Yeah, and something that they're also looking at is a wider wheel, not a wider tire, just put a wider wheel on the tires that they have now, and that will give a little bit more stability, a little bit more tire patch on the racetrack, which should make the cars race better, and then we could see more of this 3-wide racing like we're looking at right here, as the 07 of Clint Boyer, who had that speeding on pit road penalty just a minute ago, is trying to make a comeback here.
Yeah, these are all lead lap cars. The 07, by the way, Boyer now in 14th position. Mears was in front of him a moment ago in 13th, and now Boyer has taken that spot away. Brian Vickers, who got back on the lead lap and got the free pass, back in 15th position.
And we're talking about all the things that make a difference now. How about this pit crew of Jimmie Johnson, this 48? That's why he's out front. He got that clean air, and he's got a shot now to win this race. If he came off pit road behind Carl Edwards, he would be in that dirty air with Carl having probably just a little faster car. So, you know, these guys, the 48 team's doing everything they can to give themselves a chance to win.
Not the first time they've done that this year, is it?
They do it a lot. They're a machine.
28 laps to go here, and stop number 3 for the 2008 chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup. Who will it be? Two-time winner Jeff Gordon has been driving under the weather all day long, having a heck of an effort. Carl Edwards got the lead back, but right now they're still chasing Jimmie Johnson.
It's the hard knocks.
About to be 22 laps to go, and there is the race for the win. Jimmie Johnson in the 48, Carl Edwards in the 99. The last 2 runs of the race, Edwards has been able to track Johnson down and pass him. But on the last set of pit stops a little while ago, Johnson's team got him out first. And Rusty and Brad, thus far, Carl hasn't been able to do anything with Jimmie.
Yeah, but I'll tell you what, I've been watching his lap times. They've been going back and forth from one another, almost identical lap times, but we all know that Carl is really in good shape. And this guy, I guarantee, is on the wheel right now. He's driving his guts out because he has no competition behind him, Brad. Yeah. And he's just got a bullseye in that 48 car trying to run him down. And he was like a half a second behind. Then he fell to 8/10, and he went back up to to 6/10, and it's kind of all over the board right now, but he's on it.
Yeah, he is. He's coming as hard as he possibly can, trying to run him down. It seems like Jimmie Johnson's car, though, with clean air on that nose, is going to be really, really hard to mark him down. He just seems to be able to pick it up whenever he needs to. But you can see old Carl's dead in his track.
I can tell you right now, this is where the driver has to get very, very physical. He's got to focus so hard, and I can guarantee he's just on it. His brain is focused so hard trying to catch Jimmie right now, Alan. I've been there, done that, and it looks like, where are you at?
Give you a brain cramp, huh? And the other thing you see is Carl working all over the racetrack, high line, low line, trying to find something that'll get him that speed advantage. Now, a guy who was up in this group a little while earlier, mixing it up for these front spots, he's in the garage now, Jamie.
He sure was. He was running top 5 most of the race, led 27 laps. We know a shifter was broken, but what happened to get there?
You know, I'm not sure. I've never seen this happen before. This is the new style, you know, top loader transmissions, and the whole top of the case broke off. I'm not sure. It's a freak thing. The guys do a great job with this stuff back at the shop, and it's just one of them freak deals. It's just the way our years went. You know, if it can go wrong, it goes wrong. So I'm proud of the guys for the car they gave me today. We had a good race car. I had a lot of fun out there most of the day, and up until that last set of tires there, we were looking pretty sporty. So felt good to get out front again a little bit, and just disappointed we couldn't finish the deal.
He and his crew chief both thought they had a top 5 car for sure today, guys. Last DNF was Talladega earlier this year. Doc?
He had led 27 laps today, Jamie, having a really good run, Martin Truex Jr. Now, there's the differential between Jimmie Johnson and the chasing Carl Edwards. Let's listen to Carl's radio.
Let him run up there. You're better down there right now. It's coming around, Bob. We'll be fine. We got a long racer. 4 by 10. We'll be just fine. You're right. You need some help for a couple laps. Turn those speed blowers off, bud.
I don't know about a long race. Oh, Carl don't think it's 400 laps instead of 400 miles, does he?
He's got 18 laps to get it done. I saw him just now reach up on the dash and turn, looked like the brake knob, the brake balance, trying to help something here to see if he can try to gain on Jimmie Johnson. He's trying anything.
So Edwards holding on the second spot. Jeff Gordon, who said he had never been as ill as he was today climbing in a race car, has done a remarkable job in that 24 car. Although he has not led a lap, he has held on to the top 5 most of the day and now sits in 3rd spot. Dave.
And Jerry, remember, they started the day in 8th in the chase with a lot of ground to make up, and this appeared on their pit box for the first time this weekend. Whatever it takes, no excuses, no explanations, and a picture of the Sprint Cup to be awarded the champion this year. Jeff has lived that out today. He's not said anything about his condition in the race car. He's just driven hard, asked for adjustments, and tried to make that car better all day. He runs 3rd. Shannon?
Hey, listening in on Greg Biffle's radio, it sounds like this team is not going to win 3 in a row. This has been a struggle all day for this 16 team with this car. They have thrown everything at it. And Greg Biffle just said over the radio, boys, it's over. We are in big trouble. He's just trying to hang on to 4th place right now.
Still not a bad way to start the chase. 2 wins and a possible top 5 finish in the 3rd race, and Biffle will be right there with them as we head to Homestead. Back in 5th spot, Matt Kenseth, who had that spin and had to restart back in 27th position at lap 122, and he has driven this car back into the top 5.
Made a nice recovery, but he's just not going to be in a position to have a chance to win this thing. But done a nice job to get back up there.
Yeah, before he could get through the traffic and everything, the lap cars and the cars that he was racing with on that restart, these other guys just got away from him. But a nice run. Kevin Harvick there in the 6th spot. Another good, solid day for this race team. You can see his progression throughout the day.
So Biffle just hanging on, right?
Yeah, I think his idea of hanging on and a lot of other people's are 2 different things. You see, got a little bit loose down there on the bottom as he tried to make that pass on Jeff Gordon.
What was it? Biffle took the lead at New Hampshire with 12 laps to go and won the race. He took the lead at Dover with 9 laps to go and won the race. He's going to try to take the 3rd spot away from Jeff Gordon here with 13 laps to go here this time by.
There's just no give up in this guy. He might get a little bit down that they aren't going to win their 3rd race in a row. Or it doesn't look like it. I know we still have 13 laps to go, but right now he's just trying to get that 3rd spot away, which is 5 more points.
That's the difference between a good race car driver and a great race car driver. Greg Biffle does not have a good race car right now, but he has not given up. He's still giving it everything he has. He's not using it as an excuse to not go for these spots.
Yeah, and he's aware enough that of the situation to know that those 5 points right there, they might not seem like a lot to us right now, but when he gets to Homestead, that might be the difference of winning a championship and not winning that championship. See, Gordon's been able to pull back away. He actually forced.
Got some debris coming off
with Michael Waltrip here. Got
this will
another
bring out a caution flag.
Yeah,
No
we're still
caution yet.
we're still
Haven't
green.
seen one.
And no caution as of yet.
There's a lot of debris somewhere. The whole center of that tread is gone from this car.
Rodney Wise.
There it is. Yeah, it's out of the way.
Yeah, it's down off the track.
NASCAR spotters have not told the flagman. They said leave the green out, so we are staying green here with 11 laps to go. So what happened to Michael, who had that wild slide a little bit ago, and now he has other issues. Left front.
Oh man, that thing really comes apart.
It's amazing that there's not something on the racetrack, though. He was up there in the middle of the groove.
Here is the leader, Jimmie Johnson. Now, we talk about today's Sprint Cup monster moment. Well, it has to go to these guys right here. I mean, what a phenomenal job they have done on pit road.
You got to give it to these guys. They have really done a good job giving Jimmie a chance to win this race. You want to see the best a race car driver has, get him out front like this, and he'll give you all he's got.
Yeah, you can see Carl Edwards coming right on the outside of him.
For more monster moments, check out NASCAR Sprint Cup Mobile. Great job, guys. Jimmie Johnson has responded by leading 5 times today for 114 laps.
From a driver's seat, boy, that's the best pass that you can make all day is when you're on pit road and your crew does a great job of getting you out there and giving you that opportunity to where you don't have to battle and use up your car and tires to try to make the pass to get back to the front.
He's still got 9 laps, and he's got a hungry Carl Edwards right behind him. He's still working hard trying to get up there.
Yeah, he's not going to give up, I'll guarantee you. Just any little slip that he may see from Jimmie Johnson, and Carl could be right there. And if he can get to his bumper, loosen him up, then anything can happen. Jimmie's been awful strong on this last run. Looks like Jimmie loses a little bit of time to Carl every time that they get around traffic. Jimmie's car is not good when he gets around. He beat about a 1/10 and a half right there, but he still has 8/10 of a second to make up.
You see what he's doing there? He's trying everything. He went down completely on the apron that lap to try to see if he could cut off a little bit of that time.
Yeah, it's cut off time, and it looks like his car might be a little bit on the tight side. Yeah, you can see him trying to get down on the apron in the corners a little bit too. Well, I said tight, and he slides it through the center of the corner.
I'm going to tell you something. You got to give this guy credit. He's driving this car hard, buddy.
I'll tell you what, you talk about us calling drivers a wheel man. He is certainly one.
How you doing it, bud? You can get him.
You saw that big slide, and he outran Jimmie Johnson by 1/10 of a second again. It's down to 7/10 of a second.
With 7 laps to go, which means he'll catch him on the white flag lap.
Jimmie Johnson's hoping he doesn't. How much this would mean to Carl Edwards. Home track for him. A lot of friends and family here at the track. Many more of you watching here on TV. Look at him work this steering wheel.
You can't drive any harder than that.
No. And that car is not driving really good right now. They've got a lot of laps on the tires, and he's just getting more out of it than what that car is really capable. We got traffic in front of Jimmie Johnson, so it could get interesting right here.
59. Let's go get some.
They were pretty much even on that last lap.
Here at Bob Osborne, he's really working that radio, trying to keep Carl informed of what the interval is and try to keep him pumped up. Go for this thing.
Well, Carl really closing now because Jimmie up there behind Nemechek and Travis Kvapil.
What this does is take some of that air that Jimmie Johnson has had on the front of that car, takes it away. It doesn't just have to be somebody you're racing. It can be those lap cars that's taking that away, making it a little more difficult for you to drive your car and get the speed.
Still another 10th. Carl Edwards knocked off of Jimmie Johnson's lead.
Only thing is Carl's going to encounter some of the same problems as he gets to these cars also. He was wanting to run the bottom. That's where he was making his time. Now he's been forced to the outside.
These guys are going to lay over here for these leaders in these last 5 laps. Give them room to race for this win. Joe Nemechek needs to move over for him.
See, Johnson put a little more of a gap back on between the two of them right there. That was about a 1/10 and a half.
4 to go, bud. 4.
Top 7 drivers are in the chase. Johnson, Edwards, Gordon, Biffle, Kenseth, Harvick, and Burton, all 7 are chasers.
This is not what Carl Edwards needed right here. Joe Nemechek should have given these guys a little bit of a break.
He saw him
cost some time.
Yeah, having to drive it between those cars almost. Now he's up against the wall, just giving it everything he can. Watch his hands in there, moving around as he's driving the car off the corner.
3 laps to go.
You mentioned of all the racetracks on
3 laps to go.
On the circuit, Carl's home in Columbia, Missouri is about 125 miles away. This is his home racetrack.
Yeah, nothing's changed behind these guys. Our first 7 guys are chase drivers. We see this battle still ongoing. Jeff Gordon still has that 3rd spot. Greg Biffle in 4th.
Like Greg kind of laid back a little bit and kind of cool his tires off, make one final run at Jeff Gordon.
Yeah, Kenseth is in 5th, Harvick 6th, Jeff Burton 7th. Those all first 7 are chase guys, and then we have David Reagan, AJ Allmendinger, and Elliott Sadler rounding out the top 10.
Yeah, Allmendinger could hold on and get his best career finish in a NASCAR Sprint Cup race if he can hold on to the 9th spot. Carl getting there now, boys. 2 to go.
Wow, made a big gain right there. That's huge. He might have found something when he got forced to that high side there a while ago.
He did find something. He was 0.4 of a second faster than Jimmie Johnson that last lap.
And you can see Jimmie Johnson take that away from him right there. Wow.
He's got a fight on his hands here this last lap.
We do. White flag.
Get you some, bud. Let's go get it now.
That was big right there. Jimmie Johnson took that away. Carl Edwards was going to get to the outside of him and have a chance to make the pass. Still might
get him right here.
Here he comes, digging up off the corner. Turn 2, half a lap away from the checkered flag.
And what's Jimmie Johnson do here? He goes to that high side. Carl Edwards is going to go to the bottom. There we go.
Oh,
drove right by him. Hit it with a car stick. Here comes Jimmie Johnson. He's in the wall.
Can he get it off the wall?
We're back inside now.
Oh, wow.
Carl Edwards trying to hang on. Here comes Jimmie Johnson down, and Johnson will take the win.
Wow. How good is that? Wow.
That's a finish right there, boys.
And the
Biffle gets the 24.
Biffle will get Jeff Gordon. Wow.
5 points for him.
How about Carl Edwards and just driving it all the way from one side of the track to the other?
You called it. You said it that Jimmie was going to take it away.
There, brother.
Man, oh man.
And Carl was going to go to the inside.
Yeah.
Pulled the old slide job. He just slid too far.
Of our top 13, there were 10 of them that were chase drivers. Reagan, Allmendinger, and Sadler in 8th, 9th, and 10th were the only guys that broke that up.
That was cool.
That was cool, yeah.
Let's go down to Mike.
And Chad Knaus now just catching his breath, I would imagine. What'd you think of those last, say, 300 yards?
I didn't like that a whole hell of a lot. It was what a great race. You know, Jimmie's just done a great job. I love racing with Carl Edwards and Bob Osborne. Their guys are great. They're gentlemen racers. They dig. They want it really bad, and it's fun when you can beat guys racing like that. That's one for the highlight reel there. And you know, Jimmie just did a great job. The team, the picker, just did incredible today. Great pit stops, and we made some adjustments, and you know, it came to life. We were a little off at the beginning, but you know, Greg Ives and my engineers and those guys, they did a great job.
You've now got the point lead, a 10-point advantage, 7 races to go.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't mean anything right now. Right now, all I got to do is win races and finish in the top 5, and the rest of it will fall in place.
This team knows how to experience the chase, Doc. They're not looking at points yet.
Not yet, and Jimmie Johnson picks up his 5th win of the year, his 12th win in the chase in 43 chase races. And when you're good, you're great. But I tell you what, Carl Edwards did not want the local fans to think he wasn't going to give it everything he had to try to win one at home. Watch it again.
He left it all on the racetrack, boys.
Man, he dove off into this corner. If it would just stuck at all. What's this? Look
at that. Oh, my goodness.
He's battling it, trying to get it. I thought he was even going to hit the wall and win the race, but Jimmie Johnson saw what was happening. Was able to get back to the throttle.
What a finish.
He's still coming. Oh, what a race.
Now watch Biffle here. Look at this right here. He's not giving up either.
No, Gordon has him beat right there. You would think that's going to be pretty easy, but he gets to the left rear quarter panel, takes that air, and then it's able to run down the hill and make the pass.
So Hendrick Motorsports wins a race. Roush Fenway wins 2nd and runs 2nd and 3rd, and Jeff Gordon a gallant effort to finish 4th. Matt Kenseth coming home with a top 5. Back with Victory Lane in a moment. Carl Edwards walking over to talk to Jimmie Johnson. Those are the guys that finished 1, 2, and what a finish in that final last half a lap. Both of them smiling.
Yeah, not as much as we're smiling, though. We're the beneficiaries of watching these two great race drivers put on a show.
And the fans loved it. They were on their feet when both those got out and walked down there. Great crowd of Midwestern NASCAR stock car fans got to see a fabulous finish at Kansas Speedway once again. There are the point standings. Carl Edwards now back 10 points. He was 10 points ahead of Jimmie Johnson coming into the day. And Jeff Gordon gains 2 spots up to 6th position. Earnhardt Jr. up a spot. Jimmie Johnson picking up his 5th win in 2008. Let's go down to victory lane in Shannon's Fate.
Jimmie Johnson pulled his 48 car, took a big sigh, huge smile on your face. Jimmie, walk me through that last lap. What was going through your mind as the 99 was coming on strong?
Where'd he come from? Those last 2 laps, he figured out something and got a bunch of grip, and man, he was there. I just didn't know where. Thought I had him under control, and then all of a sudden he was there. So great race. I saw the slide job coming and dodged it and got a 1.
It's teammates that win championships. How important was that last pit stop to get you off pit road into that clean air?
Yeah, that really was the difference. 99 was probably better on the long runs here at the end of the race, and we did a great job of closing the gap. That pit stop from those guys really made the difference. I can't thank all the employee owners at Lowe's for their support. Chevrolet, this fall has been awesome, and all the hard work at Hendrick Motorsports. We're doing the right things. You know, we're just plugging along and doing our stuff.
All right, well, Jimmie Johnson, according to NASCAR, is your points leader right now. Dave?
And Carl Edwards breaking things down with spotter Jason Hedleski. You also broke things down a little bit with Jimmie Johnson moments ago. Carl, what did you want to discuss with him?
I just wondered how far I cleared him by. I planned on hitting the wall, but I didn't plan on the wall slowing me down that much. Played a lot of video games where you can just run it in the wall and hold it wide open. And that's what I did, but it didn't work out quite the same as a video game. I just really, really wanted to win this race, so I feel bad for the guys back in the shop for tearing up their race car intentionally, but I wasn't going to get by him on the top, and I didn't want to go in there and slide job and hit him, and so I just did what I could do. But I just can't thank Office Depot enough, Ford, Aflac, all the fans here. I want to win this race more than any race on the schedule, and I guess I'll have to wait another year.
And it seemed like bouncing off things was kind of the theme of your day, wasn't it?
Yes, we
People
had
bouncing off you. And
we had an up and down day, mostly down in the pits, but up on the racetrack. The guys did a great job, and the pit stops came around. They're actually pretty good. We just kept running into things, but man, that's as hard as I could go there at the end, and I wish I could have won that race. But Jimmie's a smart racer. I've done that to guys too. When they slide job, you just lift and go right back by and watch them, you know. And I just didn't know what was going to happen. I figured I had to try.
All right, 2 smart and 2 aggressive racers. Carl finishes second. Mike?
Well, Dave, the winning streak is over for Greg Biffle, but another strong top 3 performance. How much of a handful was that car in the final laps?
It was a big handful. I'll tell you, Sherwin-Williams Ford Fusion, really, really loose. And we were just trying everything. Greg Irwin and I talked about everything. We tried everything in the book to get that car to go a little bit better. And just fought it all day, tight in the center and loose on the gas. And tried to spring rubber out of left rear right at the end and made the car a little bit too loose. And I just hard-fought battle with Jeff Gordon. It seemed like Dover all over again for the win, but we're happy we got him at the end.
Yeah, how would you describe that battle with Jeff Gordon? Obviously, every position on the racetrack right now, this time of year, very important, but you guys were going at it pretty hard.
Yeah, all I could think of is 5 points at Homestead. You know, it's determining the championship, and I just felt like I had to get him, you know, and just trying to set him up. And I went into 3 and 4, and I'm not sure what he did. He must have got a little tight in the middle of the corner, but he started sliding up, and I got a run on the bottom on him and just beat him back to the stripe. But, you know, just a tough day. Wish we were a little bit better, but can't complain about finishing 3rd.
Greg Biffle very much still in the thick of things, just 30 points back.
Top 5 today, 3 Roush Fenway drivers and 2 Hendrick drivers. And in order of contact, by the way, if you're scoring at home, Carl Edwards hit Vickers, Blaney, and then the wall in that order. But it was Jimmie Johnson who celebrates in victory lane win number 5 in 2008.
Who's gonna take that checkered flag and be the last man standing?
Jimmie Johnson was the last man standing, but not without a gallant effort by Carl Edwards from second spot on the final lap in the final turn. But what about Jeff Gordon? Ill all day long and still brings it home with a top 5 finish. Dave.
Doc started the day saying he's never felt worse getting ready to hop into a race car. Jeff, incredible run. Are you surprised at how well you held up?
I think I do better when I'm sick. I might need to be sick more often. You know, the car was just so good. Track was slick, so it played into, you know, not feeling good because you could just drive so easy. Just had to be real careful getting in, real careful off the corner. And that definitely played to our favor. And the team was just unbelievable. I mean, they were great on pit road. Steve was calm. You know, I owe a lot to these guys. They stuck it out all weekend long when I was not feeling good and was pretty ill as far as my mood as well. So great effort. And I hate I gave that spot up to Biffle in the last corner. But other than that, I was very happy with the way the day went.
They put a sign on their pit box this weekend, no excuses, with a picture of the Cup on there. How much did keeping them pumped up play into your mind and not giving them any type of you know, condition report or feeling bad today?
Well, that's the thing about a great team. You know, when one team member's down, the other guys rally and pick up the pace. And that's what they did with me today. And, you know, I'm very thankful for that. We had some pit practice this week, not to mention the test in Charlotte. I think all of it paid off. Even though I'm sick, it all paid off. Great top 5 effort.
All right, he is 6th in the championship now. Lost a little ground to the leader, but picked up 2 spots. Mike?
And talk about a great effort. Matt Kenseth had an adventurous day, to say the least. He spun, he had a loose lug nut, but still, you fought to bring this thing home in the top 5. How were you able to do that?
Oh, just a really fast race car. You know, our DeWalt Ford Fusion was really awesome Saturday and Sunday. It came here not real fast, and Chip made some great adjustments this weekend. So, man, it was really fast. It was up front, and I thought we were going to have enough time to get back to the front after our pit road miscue, and got most of the way up there and got spun out. I don't really know exactly what happened there, but got spun out there, and we just didn't have enough time to get back up through there.
Yeah, you told me before we came on camera you wish there were another 100 laps. How much better was that car at the end of the day than it was to begin with?
It was the same. I mean, we were really good in the beginning, leading to, and I think we would have had a good car and a good shot at it if we wouldn't have had them problems.
Matt Kenseth brings it home in the top 5. Another strong run for a Roush Fenway car. Jamie?
And A.J. Allmendinger, best career finish, 9th. A.J., what was it like out there? Your first time running here and you get your best finish.
Yeah, I mean, that was slick. With like 25 to go, my arms felt like Jello. It was a handful all day, but you know, hats off to everybody at Red Bull. You know, we obviously we're going through a lot, and everybody keeps fighting. And you know, we had one mistake where the tire got away on the pit stop, but that was really nobody's fault. Just kind of one of those things, and we fought back from it. It was a great car, and it's just a lot of fun to be out there.
With the news this week, you said you guys are going through a lot. You're not going to be with this team. What does it do for you personally to be able to come out and put on a show like this so other people see you?
Well, you know, it's kind of one of those things. You get a little chip on your shoulder, you know, when you're kind of told that you might not want to be back here next year. And so a little bit of chip on your shoulder. Got to go out there and prove something to some team owners, and hopefully they see what kind of character I have, that I'm not going to lay down. I'm not going to give up. I'm going to keep fighting. And, you know, I've clawed and scratched too hard in NASCAR to just go out there and lay down. So it was a lot of fun, and hopefully we're back next week. If not, what a send-off. If we are, we'll go have some fun again at Talladega.
Nothing like a little incentive. Shannon?
Well, we're down here with Kyle Busch right now. I know there was a lot of confusion as to what was going on with that car. Can you just describe what you felt in the car?
It was just like probably what it sounded like, just sputtering and not running clean.
After they found that piece of paper in the cowl, did things get better after that?
I don't know that they did.
That they didn't find the piece of paper?
I don't think they did.
Would you say right now, disappointment, frustration, how would you describe what you're feeling right now?
I think it's pretty self-explanatory to everybody out there.
All right, disappointed Kyle Busch. Guys?
All right, so Kyle Busch finishes 28th today. It's so hard to believe. 3 straight races. Here, this team that's been so strong all season, and they start their championship bid with 3 clunkers.
I tell you, it was just unbelievable. It's hard to believe that all 3 of Joe Gibbs's cars are at the bottom of the heap right now, and it doesn't look like they're going to be able to recover. I mean, if you get as far down as those 3 cars are, it really is trouble. And to see Kyle Busch so strong all year long, 3 in a row, guys. It's just almost unbelievable, Brad. I can't believe what I'm seeing here.
You're exactly right. We would have never thunk this. I mean, I had Kyle Busch winning this thing going away as the chase started, but they just cannot seem to get out of their way. And the thing that seems to be consistent in all 3 of these, it's been mechanical things or even maybe a little bit of error, human error there. It's got nothing to do with his driving ability, and I know that's why he is super frustrated. Put it in his hands, give him a chance.
Yeah, he's just so disappointed that everything that's gone so smoothly all year has gone so badly in the 3 weeks that it may have counted most. Well, Clint Bowyer certainly had an adventurous day. Problems right from the start, and he came back for a 12th place finish, Jamie.
Clint Bowyer had one of the fastest race cars at the beginning, but heartbreaker right at the start. Clint, what happened?
Yeah, just the 45 was slow getting going, and I just went around him. You're not supposed to do that, but you know, it's just I kept making mistakes all day long. I guess I sped on pit road there at the end, and pretty much ruined our chances at a good finish. But car was fast. We tried hard. We dug deep, but just driver kept making mistakes.
Those mistakes, just digging deep because it's your home track?
Oh yeah, I mean, just trying too hard. You know, that's what it's all about. But just want to win.
Thanks.
All right, Jamie, Clint, thank you. So Clint finds himself 7th in the championship standings, 164 points off the lead. That championship lead held by Jimmie Johnson after he scored the win today here in Kansas. We're coming back with more post-race coverage.
Great crowd of Midwestern stock car fans filing out. They got their money's worth today. Here's a look at how the teams have done on 1.5-mile tracks. 35th win for Hendrick Motorsports. It is going to be a race down to the wire because Roush Fenway has won 31 times, and 4 of the next 7 races are on 1.5-mile racetracks. This could be fun watching the championship develop as we head to Homestead. Let's go down and check in where Jamie is caught up with Denny Hamlin.
Well, Denny Hamlin pulls off an 11th place finish, but a scare at the end. Denny, what did you feel inside the car?
Just heard the engine change tone a little bit and started picking up a low vibration. So something just might have got out of balance in the motor.
You guys sit 10th in points right now. How do you look as we head into Talladega?
Look like we're a long way behind those top 3 guys. We're finishing top 3 every week. So it's going to be hard to beat those guys realistically. So we got to set our goals, and that's right now top 5 in points.
Thank you, Denny.
7 races to go. We mentioned 4 of these next 7 are on 1.5-mile racetracks. We head to Talladega next week, and oh my, high banks, high speeds, and high risks. And Jimmie Johnson will take a 10-point lead in. Greg Biffle just 30 back. Again, another top 5 finish. Jeff Burton hanging tough. Kevin Harvick, another top 10. And Jeff Gordon, what more do you say about a driver who was not feeling well and came home with a top 5 finish and able to stay 6th in the standings? Guys, 6 of the 12 drivers today here at Kansas either had a miscue, a mistake, or hit something or someone on this racetrack today. I mean, what a wild day for chasers.
Yeah, it was, and you saw these Gibbs cars really, really struggle with mechanical issues and performance. These things just did not run today.
Yeah, they didn't, and I think that just shows a lot of the pressures of this chase and how it puts these guys in that 10-race mode. You have to try to make as much happen as you possibly can, and when you do all of that, you're going to have some mistakes along the way. The teams that are going to do the best, though, are the ones that minimize those. Even though Carl Edwards had a couple of those on pit road, he was able to come back with a good race car.
You know what I love about this race today is that tomorrow around the water coolers all around America and people in these cars leaving the parking lot walk up and say, did you see Carl Edwards on that last lap? What an effort.
Wow.
Just think about what Jimmie Johnson was thinking when we looked down and saw Carl go flying by.
Yeah, he's probably thinking, what a time for Carl's throttle to hang. Where's he going? But what a great effort by both of those race drivers. Just tremendous. Gave us a great finish once again.
You know, and one of the guys who had a good run today, Casey Mears, one of the dark horses standing by with Jamie.
And he led 29 laps today. Casey, take us through your run, battling with your teammates there at the front.
It was fun. You know, we've made a lot of progress the last few weeks. The results haven't really showed for it, but I think that we finally found some speed and found kind of what I'm looking for on these bigger tracks. The Charlotte test went well, and today was a good run for us. We had some trouble there and lost some track position, and once we got in the back, it was pretty difficult to get back through the pack. But once we got up inside that top 5, we showed that we were a car that could run there. So it was a fun day for us, and you know, I want to apologize to Matt too. I was the one that started that with Matt, getting him sideways there in 1 and 2, and he just checked up a little bit earlier than I thought he was going to. I was hard on the brakes and I got into him, but fortunately he did a great job sliding it all the way through the corner and saving it and come back for a good finish. But it was a good day for us. I'm happy.
You said you found some speed. We have 4 more tracks that are 1.5 miles coming up, Casey. Said you had a good test. What did you learn there that maybe can help you in those next races?
You know, we've just been looking for something that can kind of put the whole corner together, and by that I mean we've been really loose in, really tight in the center, really loose off, and we've kind of found something that's kind of mellowed all that out and just making it a little bit more easier to drive. So real excited what Alan and all the guys have done on the team recently. We really found some things that have made it more fun to drive, and you know, I think we'll have something for them these last few races.
All right, Casey Mears, another solid effort, 14th place finish. Dave?
Bob Osborne standing by now, crew chief for Carl Edwards. Got shuffled back to second in the points today, not by much. Tell us about coaching and watching those last few laps. Did you have anything to do with that?
Yeah, you know, I was pushing him pretty hard, trying to get the most out of him. But I normally don't have to do that. That's probably more for me than him. But yeah, all in all, we had a good day with the Ford Fusion, and the Office Depot guys did a great job. Carl Edwards did a great job. You know, we got ran into twice on pit road, or we did one of the running intos, and we got ran into, and it was a struggle. So finishing second is a great day, but you know, we thought we had the car to beat the run before, and the 48 boys did a number on their car and kept us from winning.
You know, in this sport, you can't settle even when things are going well. What do you look at in the week to come before you head to Talladega that crew-wise or team-wise or even engineering-wise you guys need to step up on?
Yeah, you know, we just keep digging, basically. Keep looking at all of our setups and all of the parameters that make a car go fast, and try to improve on what we're doing here. You know, Talladega's a crapshoot. You know, we'll go there and run a very conservative setup and something that can handle really well to hopefully stay out of the big one and hopefully get out of there with top 10. That would be great, and then move on to the next race.
That's pretty clear, guys. Right now, the 99 is definitely one of the top 3 to be contended with for the championship. Shannon?
Dave, down here with team owner Rick Hendrick right now. I spoke to Jimmie Johnson. He said he didn't know where Carl Edwards came from on that last lap. Tell me what you were going through up top on that pits box.
Well, you know, it looked like we had a couple of 3 car links, and I thought it was really over, and then all of a sudden it looked like Jimmie stopped, and Carl just went in there so hot. And then when he got up in against the fence, I didn't know if we could get off the, you know, out in front of him. That was a heck of a race. Chad, the team did a great job with the Lowe's Chevrolet today. You know, we were the best at one point, then Carl got better, and Chad made the right adjustments, and the pit crew did a great job. And boy, that's what you come to see, but it's hard on your heart if you got a car in it. But
yeah, you told me that was one of the most nerve-wracking moments that you've had up there.
Yeah, you know, I think just because you never count your chickens before they hatch, you know, and I thought we had it when he went into 3, and then just didn't know where Carl came from, and I thought maybe something happened to Jimmie. And but that was a heck of a race, and Carl's a heck of a driver, and it's going to be a dogfight all the way through. And I want to say hello to Paul Newman's family. He was a great friend of mine for a lot of years, and we're going to miss him.
Yeah, certainly everyone thinking about Paul Newman this weekend. Now, last year, Jimmie Johnson won Martinsville, went on to win 4 in a row. How would you compare that team last season to this team that we're seeing right now in 08?
Well, you know, it's the same team. But, you know, it's a lot of competition out here, and you get on a streak. Everybody, you know, Carl and Biffle and, you know, Jeff had a good day. Anybody in that top 12 could have a good day. And, you know, it's too early to count anybody out because one wreck, you've got Talladega coming up, you know, any kind of mechanical problem. And, you know, I think Jimmie was a couple hundred points behind with 4 to go, and we won it. And, you know, so you can't start celebrating, and you can't think that you're the guy to beat. We got to come back and work hard every week because it's going to be a dogfight all the way to the last lap of the race at Homestead.
Well, I guess you could say they're being cautiously optimistic in this Hendrick camp. Mike?
Shannon, it's almost unexplainable the way the 18 has gotten off to a start here in this chase, catching up with Steve Addington. What happened today?
Well, you know, it started the race and it ended up having a fuel pressure problem somewhere, and that just got us behind and trying to catch up. Thought we got the car pretty close there when we got our lap back and got back in traffic, and just car was terrible. We just couldn't get the balance back on it.
What can you tell the team now with 7 races remaining after going into the chase the way you have?
Oh, we're going to keep doing what we've been doing. I mean, we haven't changed doing our routine what we have been doing. We've been trying to tune on it in practice, and the results just hadn't been there. We can't find the speed that those other guys have right now, and we'll keep working hard. We'll go back and look at this and dissect the car to find out what the problem was, and everybody at Joe Gibbs Racing will stand up and make it happen. We'll be back.
Well, Dave, as Kyle Busch said before this race, the team has never quit, and they're not about to now. Dave?
And with another team that won't quit, that's the 16 team of Greg Irwin, and they had a great run today as well, picking up that final spot from the 24 of Jeff Gordon. I'm sure that was big news, and cheering for your guy on top of the box.
He was on it. He was catching him there with about 15 to go, and he got to his bumper a couple times. Backed up a little bit, wasn't sure he could get him. I think at one point in time he told me he was just hanging on for fourth, and then I guess he got his tires cooled and got another shot at him. So that was good for the fans to see. Happy for him, you know, to be able to get those 5 points, and it's good for us.
I found you here thinking about a lot of things going forward. What are some things you're working on here? Because it seems like your mind's working pretty heavy right now.
Yeah, I'm just not real happy with the decisions maybe I made on the race car today. I felt like we were going in the right direction a few times, and whether we were fighting some tires that really were throwing me curves, or the track was changing, or we were struggling in and out of traffic. But looking back on it, I don't feel like we did a good enough job of adjusting on the car today, and that's something that Greg and I will work on. You know, you work really hard on Saturday to get it the best you think you can get it, but you can never match these kinds of conditions with that kind of traffic out on the racetrack. And the car that you need to have on Saturday, you know, is probably different from the car that's going to win the race today. So that's just something that's going to come with time. And us working together and learning each other a little better. So I don't know, it's a good finish, but not super happy with the way we got there.
The work continues no matter where you finish, Jamie.
David Reagan, very solid run for his second run here in the Cup car, finishing 8th. Take us through your day, David.
You know, just an up and down day. We struggled on the first few pit stops, but our AAA team bounced back. We had an awesome 3rd and 4th stop, and we're able to get some track position back and basically just rode around the top 10. I felt like our car was pretty free all day long, and we were afraid to get it too tight. But Jimmy and the guys made great adjustments, and you know, we took a top 10 car and finished in the top 10, but certainly it's something we can build on leading to Talladega.
One of the few cars that finished in the top 10 outside of the Chasers. What's it like racing with those guys surrounding you at this point in the season?
Well, I mean, it's fun to race with those guys because, you know, they're always up front, they're racing hard, but you don't want to be that guy to take out one of the chase contenders. So it was a good day, good to see our teammates up front, and you know, maybe we can learn on this run going to Texas and Charlotte, Atlanta, some of the other mile and a halves.
All right, that's the benefit of not being in the chase. They get to learn and take things on to the next races.
Catching up now with Jeff Gordon's crew chief, Steve Letarte. What was it like for you today trying to keep your driver who was under the weather up on the wheel?
You know, I don't ever have to keep on the wheel. Jeff Gordon, he's a competitor at heart. He's a soldier. He's never missed a race, never got out of a car. You saw it today. He fought hard. Car was good. Pit crew was great. Everything kind of came together for a top 5 run.
I know you had Brad Keselowski on standby in case Jeff wasn't feeling up to it. How close were you to possibly making that switch?
Never during the race. There was no doubt. Once you get 50 or 100 laps in, we figured he'd be okay, but you never know. It's one of those Murphy's Law. I'd rather be prepared and not need it. As soon as we didn't have a backup plan, we would need one for sure.
Well, Doc, if anybody's ever questioned Jeff Gordon's toughness, just look at today.
Well, he hung on in that car, and the top 7 finishers were all chasers. Now, Dale Earnhardt Jr. battled an ill-handling race car for the last 100 laps, and he just looks whipped.
Yeah, he was just pretty tired. It was a hot day out there, and he just wasn't able to talk to us. Maybe we'll catch up with him next week.
Again, A.J. Allmendinger, the highest finishing Toyota, comes home in 9th spot. Give a call to Elliott Sadler, the top finishing Dodge in 10th. A wild finish at Kansas. And folks, next week it's Talladega, the wild card. Oh my heavens. Can't wait to get to the high banks of Alabama. Back in a moment.
What a wild day here at Kansas Speedway from start to finish in this race, and a lot of drivers contending for the NASCAR Sprint Cup Championship. A lot of ups and downs throughout the day. Jeff Burton didn't even get started before things went wrong.
No, he had a tachometer fail, and I can't believe they got one out, got another one in, and still made it out there before the race started. I mean, a lot of work. They did a good job. He had to have that first pit road speed.
And then came back and had a great finish. Clint Boyer.
Clint Boyer on the start gets outside of Kyle Petty. Said Kyle didn't get up to speed, so you cannot pass on the outside like that on the start of the race. They go over that every week. He cost himself some valuable time.
Still came back to finish 12th. Carl Edwards, although he almost wound up winning the race, almost didn't get to the finish.
Well, you got that right. Carl's leaving his pit, and all of a sudden, see Brian Vickers coming over, Clunk, and he's parked there. Got to push him back, loses some time.
All right, not once but twice. Clunk
I'll tell you what, Carl was up on the wheel. He was paying great attention. He kept getting hit, but he kept making that wheel turn to avoid the big crashes on pit road.
Matt Kenseth got the lead early, lost some track position after a pit mistake, then got bumped from behind by Casey Mears. Watch this slide job.
That's what I call a four-wheel drift right there, baby.
That was the coolest slide. He had that baby lit up in smoke and never did lose it until he got finally all the way around the corner.
Matt came back to finish 5th. Not so lucky for Kyle Busch. Kyle's car began slowing and sputtering, something wrong under the hood. They went and checked it out, never did get it quite right. Then you heard the reports, the ill-handling car. He wound up finishing a lap down in 28th place. And Kyle's day was bad. Maybe Tony Stewart's was worse.
I tell you what, got the pit crew from the Red Bull team sitting on his hood. The pit crew guy kicks the side of the car all mad. Tell you what, and then Tony has another problem.
He gets up into Brian Vickers there and gets the worst of it, runs into his left rear tire, spits Tony down through the infield. He comes through here cutting grass with that Lowe's lawnmower. Oh, I'm sorry, Home Depot lawnmower.
Whoops. Wrong one. You were just thinking ahead to this one.
I was thinking ahead to Jimmie Johnson.
Jimmie Johnson's team got him the lead on the last set of pit stops for the leaders. Carl Edwards left of screen came in first. Johnson left first, and then the last corners.
Boy, look at this bonsai right into turn 3. Oh, kisses the wall. It slows him up enough that Johnson gets past him again, and that is a gallant effort to try to win that race. Carl Edwards just amazing on that last lap.
Tremendous effort.
Carl Edwards was a second behind with 15 to go. He was almost 3/4 of a second behind inside 5 to go, and he closed that gap up to nothing and almost made the move off the final corner. We have seen some great racing in this chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup so far. Remember the three-way fight for the win last week at Dover, today's finish, and there's more to come. Talladega next week, then it's on to Charlotte, Martinsville, Atlanta, Texas, Phoenix, and Homestead, Miami.
Man, oh man.
Wow.
Well, we'll take a look at that. We got Talladega next week, and I really think that's going to be the spoiler. That's going to be a tough one right there because anything can happen. We all know that. They always wait for the big one at Talladega, and I can tell you all these guys in the chase for the championship are really concerned about that race right there. Go to Charlotte, then Martinsville, another change up, a short track.
A little short track, a little beating, banging, little fingers getting crinkled up, guys, little tempers getting up there. It's going to be interesting.
Brakes getting burned off.
Absolutely.
All right, let's touch on a couple topics we talked about on NASCAR Countdown at the start of the day. The 1.5 mile tracks being a big factor in determining this championship. We saw two guys really strong today.
We talked about Carl Edwards early. We talked about Jimmie Johnson. And those two guys were definitely the class of the field today. They've been strong on these 1.5 miles, and so you gotta look at those two cars right now. Forget about the points, but who's going to win the race and the performance? Those two teams have been the class so far.
And we talked about the dynamic between driver and crew chief Jimmie Johnson and Chad Knaus, and they're standing in victory lane.
Absolutely. Chad Knaus did a great job on the box all day today, as well as Bob Osborne. He did a super job for Carl Edwards. It put both of those guys right in the eye of the storm. Here we have these two guys who are the guys to beat.
And Carl Edwards, boy, I tell you what an effort he made to try and win that race today.
You know, Alan, one thing that I saw today that really surprised me is look at the stamina that Jimmie Johnson had compared to Carl Edwards. Unreal.
Terrific race today. And on to Talladega next week. The Amp Energy 500, 43 cars in a big old pack. If the big one happens, who gets caught up in it from these championship drivers? Our coverage starts with NASCAR Countdown at 1 Eastern next Sunday on ABC. ABC World News Tonight, all your local news coming up next on most of these ABC stations except on the West Coast. So after an incredible afternoon of racing here in Kansas and a frantic final lap, Jimmie Johnson scores the win. His car going through the post-race teardown. We'll go at it again next Sunday in Talladega. Thanks for watching ESPN on ABC. Jimmie Johnson, your winner in Kansas City today.
Embrace yourselves. It's every driver's dream and we're down to 12. Time to see who wants it most.